Chapter 999. At this time, half of the golden crow's feathers were still hidden in the fire seed. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to take it away. Xian, take this feather. This should be the golden crow's feather. It contains a lot of energy. If you give it to the red-winged crow to refine, his cultivation and bloodline will improve greatly. Don't take it for yourself. After I reach the soul formation stage, you will also have an endless amount of level 6 spiritual power. Master, don't worry. I know what to do. The pure yang energy in the golden crow's feathers won't have much effect on me. After saying that, the Xian cauldron released a strong suction force. The fire seed couldn't even protect itself, so it didn't care about anything else. The Xian cauldron easily took the feather. With this feather, refining yuanying is a piece of cake. Let's go. Zhou Luan was a little surprised. We're leaving? I didn't help much. How difficult can it be to bully a spiritual fire that has almost no intelligence? There's no need to trouble Lord Shadow Master with such a small matter. The two of them left the volcano with the Xian cauldron. Moon Sung Cheon was already waiting for them outside the volcano. You're finally out. The volcano has been shaking, and the secret realm is a little unstable. I was worried that you wouldn't be able to come out. I wanted to go in and help, but I was worried that you would misunderstand. So I could only wait for you here. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Senior, thank you for your concern. I just extracted some energy from the core of the secret realm, which caused the space to be a little unstable. It should be fine now. Senior, please enter the cauldron. I'll take you out. Moon Sung Cheon nodded. Thank you. The Xian cauldron released a suction force and sucked him in. The two demon clones couldn't help much in the deep sea, so Wang Daoyuan also put them in the space of the spiritual pearl. Then, he left the secret realm with Zhou Luan and returned to the bottom of the sea. After they left, the spiritual fire in the volcano absorbed a huge amount of spiritual energy and quickly recovered. Zhou Luan took out the silver light space splitting mirror and illuminated the surrounding space cracks. The two of them left the place along the way they came. Half a day later, a blue light spot appeared on the soul-chasing compass in Wang Daoyuan's sea of consciousness. The dragon species I met on the way here is really patient. He's still waiting outside. He's just 300 miles south. It seems like he's determined to eat me. I have no choice but to fight this tough battle. In a while, you will stay near the spatial rift. That dragon species won't dare to cause trouble for you. I can also fight with this dragon species freely. Be careful. Don't try to show off. If we really can't beat them, we can just hide in a place with a spatial rift. At worst, we can just stay at the bottom of the sea for a few years. It won't be too late to deal with this dragon after you reach the soul formation stage. Don't worry. I'm still confident in dealing with a 6th rank lower grade dragon. The two of them continued to walk forward until they were about 100 miles away from the dragon species. Just wait here. The silver light space splitting mirror can already illuminate all the spatial rifts on the road ahead. Don't worry about me. Zhou Luan nodded. Be careful. If you can't beat them, call me. I'm not useless. Then, Wang Daoyuan followed the guidance of the silver light space splitting mirror, avoided a few spatial rifts, and came to the vicinity of the dragon species. This time he saw the dragon species clearly. This guy was really weird. The concentration of dragon blood was obviously not low, but it didn't look like a dragon at all. Only the pair of dragon horns on its head looked decent, but its body looked like a big carp covered in silver scales. This big carp was quite fat. Wang Daoyuan was hungry. You're quite patient. You've been waiting for me here. How dare you come out? This dragon species was very sneaky. Before it finished speaking, it appeared behind Wang Daoyuan, for fear that he would escape into a spatial rift again. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, Don't worry. I dared to come out because I want to fight with you. If I wasn't confident, I would have escaped from other places long ago. With that, his body turned into a half-dragon state, and scales covered his whole body. The dragon species looked envious. Where did you get this method? You can actually transform into a true dragon? It's useless even if I give it to you. After I kill you, I'll snatch it and have a look. Opening its mouth and spitting out 2 silver lights, Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to underestimate it, and directly took out the Sword of Origin Restoration. The sword embryo was personally created by the supreme divinity Xianxian. Even if it couldn't defeat the dragon, it wouldn't be unable to withstand the opponent's attack. A large amount of spiritual power was injected into the sword. When the silver light flew over, he swung the sword and slashed out. Two soft sounds rang out, and Wang Daoyuan retreated continuously. He retreated more than 30 steps before stopping. Under this attack, the sea was very calm. Then countless slight cracking sounds rang out, and a few reefs nearby instantly shattered. This method startled Wang Daoyuan. He carefully checked his body and found that there were no injuries. The strength of this dragon species also shocked Wang Daoyuan. He immediately activated his divine power domain. The two pectoral fins of the dragon species turned into two dragon claws. Of course, these dragon claws weren't real. The concentration of dragon blood in front of him wasn't low, at least not inferior to his two arowanas. At the very least, it should have a dragon head, but this guy only had a pair of dragon horns. The two dragon claws instantly enlarged and grabbed at Wang Daoyuan. Previously, it had repelled him with a casual attack. Now that it showed its true ability, Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to take it head-on. A black flame appeared in front of him. With the help of the domain divine power, the flame quickly spread. A yellow dragon phantom appeared on Wang Daoyuan's body and dodged the dragon species' attack at an extremely fast speed. Then, 30 black fireballs appeared in the black flame and smashed towards the dragon species. The dragon species was stunned. It didn't have the mind to deal with Wang Daoyuan now. It quickly waved its two dragon claws to block the 10th water divine lightning. These dragon claws were indeed strong enough. Blocking the 10th water divine lightning only made his dragon claws slightly dimmer. Before he could catch his breath, 10th water divine lightning appeared again. The dragon species didn't use its dragon claws to block anymore. Instead, its body emitted dozens of silver lights. The power of the 10th water divine lightning was comparable to his silver lights. The 10th water divine lightning were all broken. There were still many silver lights that didn't hit the 10th water divine lightning and shattered a large number of reefs around. Wang Daoyuan didn't mind fighting with him and continued to attack with the 10th water divine lightning. Although the dragon species was a demon beast, it wasn't stupid. It could see that Wang Daoyuan wasn't using its own power. If it continued, it would definitely lose. It put away its two huge dragon claws, and its body turned into a true dragon that was hundreds of feet long. This was going all out. Wang Daoyuan was also prepared. The Xianxian cauldron was already in front of him. The 5 natal magic tools also turned into Yinglong's demon-slaying sword. When the true dragon formed by the dragon species came in front of him, Wang Daoyuan swung the sword down. After a silent confrontation, the seabed rock layers cracked. Within a radius of more than 10 miles, the rock cracks were like a dry riverbed. The true dragon formed by the dragon species dissipated instantly. The dragon species was knocked back hundreds of feet by this sword. Yinglong's demon-slaying sword disintegrated and turned back into 5 natal magic tools. Wang Daoyuan put away the magic tools and panted heavily. The dragon species glanced at him and snorted. 6th level magic tool. And not an ordinary 6th level magic tool. The material seems to be 7th level. If I can't take you down this time, I'm leaving. Then, it turned into a silver light and swam into the darkness. Wang Daoyuan also breathed a sigh of relief. This guy was not only a dragon species, but he was really not weak. It was already not easy to defeat him. If he continued to fight, the chances of killing him were not high, and he would also be seriously injured. It was not a joke to be seriously injured in the deep sea. Wang Daoyuan did not chase after him anymore. It was better to leave the sunset abyss as soon as possible and find a safe place to break through to the soul formation stage. At this moment, Zhou Wan was wearing a suit of armor and carrying a heavy sword as she walked over. "Where's the dragon species? The fight was so loud. I was worried that you were not his match. These are all magic tools left behind by the ancestors of Blood Shadow. I've already cultivated them to the mid-grade of the 5th level. They can also help you deal with the 6th level demonic beast. Don't you know what I'm capable of? A 6th level low-grade dragon species can't kill me. After a few moves with him, he felt that he couldn't take me down. He was afraid that I would exhaust him to death, so he ran away. Chapter 1000. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan had only used up too much spiritual power and didn't suffer any substantial injuries, Zhou Wan breathed a sigh of relief. The higher the cultivation, the greater the gap between each rank, and the more difficult it is for the weak to fight against the strong. A 6th-rank demonic beast strength is comparable to a semi-god realm cultivator. With Yuanying's cultivation, even if there's only a slight difference in cultivation, it's as difficult as ascending to heaven. In the tens of thousands of years of Blood Shadow's records, there are very few peak-level Yuanying cultivators who can escape unscathed from an early-stage semi-god realm cultivator. Those people were all outstanding at their time, but you actually forced a 6th-rank dragon to retreat. Your husband is not an ordinary person. I've used up too much spiritual power, and I need to recover. Zhou Wan didn't disturb him anymore. She just put away the heavy sword that was difficult to carry. Wang Daoyuan didn't spend too much effort here. He only used half a cup of tea's time to completely recover his spiritual power. He turned his body into a true dragon. That dragon knows how powerful I am, so it won't come looking for trouble alone. Dragons have a sense of pride, so it won't gather other demonic beasts to besiege me. There shouldn't be any 6th-rank demonic beasts nearby, so I'll directly transform into a true dragon. You ride on my back, and we'll directly rush out from above. Let's see which 5th-rank demonic beast is tired of living and dares to cause trouble for me. Zhou Wan nodded, grabbed his 2 dragon horns and rode on Wang Daoyuan's neck again. Why are you riding on my neck again? The armor on your body is making me uncomfortable. Hurry up, don't worry about these trivial matters. Wang Daoyuan was also helpless. Now was not the time to care about these trivial matters. He raised his head and let out a high-pitched dragon roar, then swam straight up. He didn't restrain his dragon aura at all. Sensing this shocking aura, most demonic beasts didn't dare to go forward to die. Some dragon species were very tempted, but their intelligence was much higher than that of ordinary demonic beasts. Knowing that if they attacked, they couldn't even protect their lives, so no one dared to stop them. Even the deep sea wasn't very deep. Wang Daoyuan had no qualms about rushing out of the dense horde of beasts, and it only took him a few breaths of time. He summoned the Xianxian cauldron and released the Moon Sungqion. Senior Wen, we're out of the deep sea. Moon Sungqion looked at the sky above and the sea below, and said with emotion, after more than 300 years, I finally see the light of day again. Little friend, you've saved my daughter's life several times, and now you've let me see the light of day again. Whatever you want, just tell me and I'll give it to you. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, let's return to Lone Star Island first. We can talk about other matters later. By the way, Senior, please restrain your aura and cover your face. Right now, Blood Shark and the 7 Stars Alliance are at war. If you reveal your identity, it may cause a lot of trouble. I haven't seen my daughter for more than 300 years. It's time to go see her. I'll go see the Ice Immortal first. We'll talk about the rest later. After saying that, he suppressed his aura to mid-stage Yuanying and covered his face with a cloth. Wang Daoyuan summoned the flying boat, and the 3 of them boarded the flying boat and headed to Lone Star Island. When they arrived at Lone Star Island, Moon Sungqion asked, where is my daughter? The last time my Dao companion and I saw them was when we returned from searching for pure-in spiritual items. Because I saved them, they came to thank me. At that time, I advised them to prioritize their cultivation and not to enter the sea so easily. After that, I never saw them again. Moon Sungqion released his divine sense and scanned the entire Lone Star Island. The island wasn't very big, and a golden core cultivator's divine sense could cover it completely. However, each cave abode and shop had a method to prevent detection, and ordinary people didn't have the ability to detect anything useful. Of course, the formation set up by ordinary cultivators couldn't block the detection of soul formation cultivators. After a few breaths, Moon Sungqion excitedly pointed at a small mountain near the market. My daughter and Wenzhong are over there. I'm very familiar with their divine sense fluctuations. You two have saved my daughter many times, please come with me. I'll thank you after I ask about the Wen family's situation. Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't have any objections. In the future, the Wang family would come to the Sea of Seven Stars to develop, and it was inevitable that they would have to deal with the local tyrants. The Seven Stars Alliance and the Blood Shark were at war. The two families had fought for hundreds of years in the past, and there were several wars that lasted for 500 or 600 years. It was impossible to build a good relationship with them. Moon Sung-cheon had been missing for more than 300 years, but his subordinates were still willing to spend energy to heal Wenjong's injuries. It was obvious that he was very popular. As long as he gathered his old subordinates, and with his soul formation cultivation, it wouldn't be a problem for him to regain the position of the Wen family head. Building a good relationship with the Wen family would make it easier to establish a foundation here in the future. My wife and I don't have anything else to do, so we'll accompany you. The three of them soon arrived at the small mountain where the Black Ice Fairy's cave residence was located. There were 2 cave residences, one big and one small. There was also a flat ground in front of the cave residence, which looked like a courtyard. Wenjong was cleaning the courtyard when he saw Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan. He cupped his hands and said, "Daoyu are here. May I know who this Daoyu is?" Moon Sung-cheon chuckled. "Wenjong, you don't even recognize me?" Hearing his voice, Wenjong was immediately stunned. He stared at Moon Sung-cheon with his eyes wide open. After a dozen breaths, he finally reacted. He looked around and asked in a low voice, "Are you the old master?" Moon Sung-cheon nodded. "Don't tell anyone," Wenjong said with a smile. "Distinguished guests, please follow me inside for a chat." Wang Daoyuan said softly, "Father and daughter have recognized each other, so they must have a lot to talk about. It's not appropriate for us to go in. Let's wait in the courtyard." Moon Sung-cheon followed Wenjong into Wen Bingxian's cave residence. Wenjong immediately closed the cave residence and opened all the restrictions. He shouted into the cave residence, "Miss, come out and see who's here." Wen Bingxian quickly came out of the bedroom. After seeing Moon Sung-cheon, she was stunned for a long time. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she asked in disbelief, "Father, is that you?" Even though Moon Sung-cheon was a divinity transformation realm cultivator, he couldn't help but cry. "Daughter, you've suffered for more than 300 years. Wen Bingxian threw herself into his arms. "Father, I finally see you." Half an hour later, Wenjong walked out of the cave residence. "Old master invites the two of you inside for a chat." Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan entered the cave residence. Moon Sung-cheon bowed to them. "Thank you, little friend, for saving my daughter's life several times. If it weren't for little friend, my daughter would have died a long time ago, and I wouldn't have the chance to make up for it in this life. Little friend, please accept a bow from me and my daughter." After saying that, the father and daughter bowed again. "Senior Wen, you don't have to do this. I've already received payment for saving Miss Wen. We're even now, and we don't owe each other anything. Previously, when Bingxian and Wenjong were in trouble, you didn't want to get too involved with them. It's normal to be able to help them when they're in trouble. Even if you only receive payment, it's still a great favor. I don't have anything on me now, and I don't have anything to repay little friend. However, I'm already a soul formation cultivator. Since I've come out, I must gather my former subordinates and take back the position of the Wen clan's patriarch. Little friend, just tell me what you want. After I succeed, I'll try my best to satisfy you." Wang Daoyuan was waiting for this sentence. "After I break through to the soul formation realm, I plan to find a place to build my clan." However, the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark are fighting right now, and there's no place in the Sea of Seven Stars. The spirit chi in the myriad demon islands is too violent, and it's not suitable for mortals and low-level cultivators to live in. I want to find an island suitable for mortals to live in at the edge of the endless ice sea, and move some of my clansmen there. This is a small matter. The endless ice sea is a cold place with many demon beasts. Although there are many volcanic islands, there are very few humans. Only the profound ice island and some of the surrounding islands are protected by my Wen clan, and there are some mortals and low-level cultivators living there. Since little friend wants an island, it's very simple. After I take back the position of the One Clan's patriarch, you can choose any of the ownerless islands in the endless ice sea. However, I don't have enough manpower right now, and it's very difficult to take back the position of the patriarch. If little friend is willing to help, I can give you a few more islands. Chapter 1001. On this side of the endless ice sea, the most suitable place to live was a large volcanic island. Such an island could borrow the heat of the volcano and be maintained by a formation. It would be easy to create a large area suitable for ordinary people to live in. It would be good to have a few more islands as a place to set up a family. However, it was definitely not wise to get involved in the One family's business. Senior 1, this is just a family matter of the One family. If an outsider like me gets involved, you will be put in a passive position and even be rejected by the neutral One family members. By then, you might be labeled as someone who invited a wolf into the house. Moon Sungcheon sighed. How could I not know this? It's just that we have too few people. My soul tablet has never been broken. The Grand Elder and the other elders are in charge of the family affairs. There is no need to change the family head. Since someone could usurp the throne and kill the elders who supported me, he must have the support of a Grand Elder in the soul formation realm. I forced myself to break through to the soul formation realm when I was seriously injured. If I don't have any treasures, it will be difficult for me to make any progress in my cultivation. In terms of strength, I am only average among the early-stage soul formation realm cultivators. If there is really a soul formation Grand Elder supporting the usurpation, it is impossible for me to take back the family head position with my own strength. Little friend is very powerful. In terms of strength, he is already above me. With your help, even if there is a Grand Elder supporting the usurpation, we can still defeat him together. Getting involved in the One family's business is not a legitimate thing. I will not fight against the One family directly, but I can cure your injuries. Moon Sungcheon was stunned when he heard this. He had no hope for his cultivation path. Now his injuries could be cured. He was only 1,000 years old. Compared to the 5,000 years of life of a soul formation realm cultivator, he was still in the prime of his life. How could he accept that he would not be able to make any progress in his cultivation for the next 3,000 years? Little friend, do you really have a way to cure my injuries? Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of spiritual fire of life. This is a type of spiritual fire that I have refined. It is useful for most injuries. However, my cultivation is not enough now. After I break through to the soul formation realm, this spiritual fire can also advance to the 6th grade. By then, it shouldn't be a problem to treat Elder Zhang's injuries. Senior, you are extremely talented. You may reach the late stage of the divinity transformation realm in the future, and become one of the most powerful overlords in the entire Qixing Sea Xiuxian community. Even if you have the support of a semi-divinity realm warrior, you still have to consider Senior's talent. Moon Sungcheon sensed the vigorous life force within the fire of life and nodded. This fire of life does have a strong healing effect. If it can be raised to the type 6 stage, there's still hope for it to help me recover. His little friend had been in the Sea of 7 Stars for many years, so he must have a lot of old friends. If anyone is willing to help, feel free to find them. I won't mistreat them. I wonder if little friend has a place to transcend the tribulation? If you don't, I can provide a few. I haven't traveled much in the past few years, and I don't have any life or death friendships. I naturally have a place to transcend the tribulation, but after I transcend the tribulation, where am I supposed to find you? Moon Sungcheon suspected that he was a disciple of a hidden force. Hidden forces were very common in the cultivation world. They were either hiding from their enemies or from a great disaster. They concealed their identities and hid in some secret realms. After their enemies declined or the disaster passed, the hidden forces would want to come to the surface. They would send out some outstanding disciples to establish a small force outside and see how things were going in the outside world. If the conditions were right, a large number of people from the hidden forces would be placed in this small force, allowing it to develop and grow. In the end, the entire force would come to the surface. Wang Daoyuan's strength and actions were very similar to the outstanding disciples sent out by the hidden forces before they came to the surface. Asking Wang Daoyuan to find helpers was hoping that the force behind him would help. That's a pity. How about this? I'll let Wenzhong continue to wait here. After you break through to the semi-divinity realm, you can come here to find him. Moon Sungcheon also had a trick up his sleeve. In this way, Wang Daoyuan didn't know how many people were still loyal to him. That's good. My Dao partner, and I will find a place to break through first. Then we will come to find Senior. After saying that, he left the cave abode with Zhou Luan and took a flying boat to the southwest. After the two of them left, Moon Sungcheon asked, Wenzhong, tell me about this Zhou Ming. This person's behavior is like that of a disciple of a big force. His Dao partner obviously has the bloodline of a divine beast, and it's very pure. Her appearance is comparable to that of the ice fairy, and her behavior is decent. Her temperament is not inferior to Zhou Ming's. Such a person can't be an itinerant cultivator. It's very likely that a hidden force wants to come out and send out a disciple to investigate the situation. Wang Daoyuan naturally wasn't in the mood to care about the matters here. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan took a flying boat to the southwest. After flying for more than 1,000,000 miles, they arrived at an uninhabited sea area without any islands. They boarded Lei Peng's flying boat and continued to head northeast. The Soul Formation Heavenly Tribulation was different from the Golden Core Heavenly Tribulation and the Yuanying Heavenly Tribulation. It wouldn't directly strike people with lightning. It was mainly a test of inner demons, but it would definitely cause a big commotion, especially the surrounding space. The secret realm where they found Moon Sungcheon was very suitable for the Heavenly Tribulation, but unfortunately, the space around it was unstable. His soul formation, Heavenly Tribulation, was definitely not ordinary. It would be troublesome if it affected the space. The two of them boarded Lei Peng's flying boat and arrived at a place more than 3,000,000 miles west of Lone Star Island. There was an island with a radius of more than 200 miles, and there was an inferior grade rank 5 spirit vein on the island. Because it was too far away from the Sea of 7 Stars and demon beasts were rampant. There was also an active volcano on the island, and lava was constantly flowing out of the crater. The environment was too harsh, and there were no traces of cultivators nearby. The main purpose of breaking through to the soul formation realm was to increase the intensity of yuanying and improve the control of laws. To increase the intensity of yuanying, one had to rely on 6th level pure yin and pure yang spiritual items, which didn't have any requirements on spiritual energy. As long as one had a 6th level yin and yang spiritual item, the concentration of spiritual energy was not a concern. After arriving at the island, Wang Daoyuan put away the flying boat and took out Mou, Shui Quan, and the Xianxian cauldron from the spiritual pearl. There are many demon beasts here. Although there are no 6th level demon beasts, a lot of 5th level demon beasts will be troublesome. Mou and Shui Quan are both demons, and they are restrained by the bloodline of divine beasts. If they encounter a 5th level half-divine beast, they won't be able to defeat it. By then, you and the Xianxian cauldron will have to deal with the demon beasts. Zhou Luan took out an interspatial ring. Don't worry, I brought a lot of life-saving measures. As long as the opponent is not at 6th level, I won't be in any danger. The Xianxian cauldron smiled. You don't have to worry about me. I absorbed a lot of spiritual energy in that mystic realm. Now, I'm very close to 6th level midgrade. Killing 5th level demon beasts will be a piece of cake. Wang Daoyuan nodded and sat cross-legged beside the volcano in the center of the island. He took out the horn of the bone-flood dragon and the golden crow feather from the spiritual pearl. He extracted a part of the yin and yang qi from the two and stored them in his spiritual sea. Ordinary yuanying cultivators directly merged the yin and yang qi into their yuanying. This method was more crude and wasted more yin and yang qi, and the effect wasn't good. Wang Daoyuan's yuanying was different. It had 5 internal organs, meridians, and an internal spiritual sea. When Divine Venerable Black Ice helped to deduce the cultivation method, she also deduced the method to temper the yuanying. After the yin and yang qi in the spiritual sea merged into the yuanying, the yin qi gathered in the yuanying's kidneys, and the yang qi gathered in the yuanying's heart. Then he started to circulate the cultivation method, allowing the yin and yang qi to circulate in the yuanying. The yuanying's heart was formed by the red yang primordial fire, and the kidneys were formed by the gui water death flame. The sixth level yang qi guided the yang qi in the heart to circulate in the 5 internal organs, increasing the intensity of the yuanying. The sixth level yin qi guided the yin qi in the kidneys to the internal spiritual seed to nourish the soul. Under the tempering of the sixth level yin qi and yang qi, Wang Dayuan's essence, energy, and spirit quickly broke through the limits of the yuanying cultivator and continued to strengthen. Chapter 1002. With the tempering of the sixth great yin and yang qi, his body's ability to carry essence, energy, and spirit increased. As his essence, energy, and spirit increased, the yin and yang qi in his yuanying decreased. After the two were used up, Wang Dayuan extracted more yin and yang qi from the horn and the golden crow's feathers. After fusing with the yuanying, it continued to circulate in his meridians. The extent of tempering his yuanying was uncertain. It was up to the will of the heavens. When a cultivator opened the purple palace and started to come into contact with the laws, they would be noticed by the heavenly Tao. When one broke through to the soul formation stage, they would definitely be noticed by the heavenly Tao. When the essence, energy, and spirit exceeded the limit allowed by the heavenly Tao, a heavenly tribulation would descend. The cultivator at the peak of the yuanying stage would use the heavenly tribulation to break through to the soul formation stage. This limit was not fixed. Everyone's talent was different, so this limit was different. The amount of sixth grade yin and yang qi consumed during the tempering process was naturally different. When the heavenly tribulation descended, the stronger the yuanying, the more benefits one would receive. After breaking through to the soul formation stage, one's strength would also increase. As long as there was enough sixth grade yin and yang qi prepared, the heavenly tribulation would descend later. After Wang Dayuan stayed on this island for a year, a black cloud finally appeared in the sky. The spirit power in the cloud was extremely violent, and there were also extremely strong fluctuations of the power of laws. As soon as the black cloud appeared, it began to absorb a large amount of spirit power and continued to grow. Tempering his yuanying for a year to attract a heavenly tribulation cloud was very fast. Most cultivators would need a few years to temper their yuanying, and a few would need more than 10 years. At this time, his yuanying strength had already surpassed most early-stage soul formation cultivators. When Wang Dayuan circulated his cultivation technique, he only used the sixth grade yin and yang qi as a primer. The pure yin and yang qi in the scarlet yang primordial fire and the gui water death flames merged into the primer to temper his yuanying. These fifth grade yin and yang qi were derived from the yuanying. Together with the primer, the tempering effect was extremely good. Therefore, he did not use much sixth grade yin and yang qi. It was about twice as much as an ordinary cultivator. However, the result of the refinement was something that ordinary cultivators could not achieve, even if they spent tens of times the amount of sixth grade yin and yang energy. The tribulation clouds had already unfolded, so Wang Dayuan did not continue tempering. He put away the unmelted bone and the golden crow velvet feather, and adjusted his body condition to prepare for the upcoming heavenly tribulation. In this 1 year, Wang Dayuan could not restrain his aura, which attracted many demonic beasts. However, with Zhou Luan, the Xianxian cauldron, and the 2 doppelgangers around, the demonic beasts that came over were nothing more than throwing their lives away. The tribulation clouds in the sky rapidly expanded. Half a day later, the black tribulation clouds covered the sky within a radius of 5,000 miles. Looking at the tribulation cloud, Wang Dayuan's heart was beating like a drum. Previously, in order to increase his understanding of the soul formation stage, he had read many books about breaking through to the soul formation stage. Generally speaking, when a cultivator broke through to the soul formation stage, the tribulation cloud would only cover a radius of around 1,000 miles. Even for those cultivators with heaven spirit roots, the tribulation cloud would not exceed a radius of 3,000 miles. Just how terrifying was the power contained within these 5,000 miles of tribulation clouds. The tribulation clouds stopped expanding and began to surge violently. This was a sign that the heavenly tribulation was about to fall. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to let his imagination run wild. He focused his mind and prepared to deal with the heavenly tribulation. There was only one heavenly tribulation of the soul formation stage, which was the inner demon tribulation. It would not harm the body at all, only the mind. If one could not pass this tribulation, their essence, energy, and spirit would slowly be exhausted in the inner demon tribulation. In the end, they would die and enter the cycle of reincarnation. After passing the inner demon tribulation, one would be able to comprehend the Tao in the tribulation, and their control of the laws would be improved greatly. This inner demon tribulation was not as simple as the Purple Mansion inner demon tribulation. It could be suppressed with Dharma artifacts. The inner demon tribulation of the soul formation stage could not be suppressed. The environment of the inner demon was ever-changing. Even those mighty figures still had lingering fears when mentioning the inner demon tribulation. Soon, a huge whirlpool formed in the center of the tribulation clouds. A large amount of spiritual power entered this whirlpool. The whirlpool absorbed a large amount of spiritual power and gradually expanded. Finally, it enveloped the entire tribulation clouds. Then a ball fell from the center of the whirlpool. This ball was the size of a millstone and was completely black. The energy contained within was enough to make one tremble in fear. If not for the fact that the energy was extremely stable, Wang Daoyuan estimated that the energy could directly turn the island under his feet into nothingness. Under the guidance of this ball, Wang Daoyuan's yuanying lost control and automatically left his sea of consciousness. It floated 30 feet above his head. At this time, his yuanying was already more than 3 feet tall and emitted a dazzling purple gold light. The ball fell and enveloped his entire yuanying. Wang Daoyuan instantly lost consciousness and fell asleep. When he regained consciousness, he felt a splitting headache. He struggled to open his eyes and found himself in a bright room. This room looked very familiar. The walls were painted with white dust. 2 energy-saving light tubes were hanging on the roof, and there was a small fan. He was lying on a metal bed. There were 3 metal beds in the room, and each bed was divided into bunk beds. He looked at his floating table and the books on it, and felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. His head was groggy, and he seemed to have forgotten a lot of things. Just as he was in a daze, he heard someone shout from below, "Fourth brother, you idiot! Why didn't you go big when you were in a group? Second brother, you still have the nerve to talk about me. Can't you see that I'm not here? Why are you guys in a group? Everyone is dead. Why should I go big?" These 2 voices gave Wang Daoyuan a feeling of familiarity and strangeness. Just as he was trying to recall who it was, a rough voice sounded. A rough voice rang out. "Third brother, you've finally woken up. You scared us to death. You should have said that you can't drink. It's the first time we went out to drink. No one knew how much you can drink. You got drunk for a day and a night with just a few bottles of beer. If not for your stable condition and the fact that you know how to drink water, we would have sent you to the hospital. I bought some milk for you. Drink it when you wake up." Third brother is awake? Third brother, you're finally awake. I can't carry second brother alone. I can't keep up with him. He's already lost 20 times. Hurry up and get up. Let's carry second brother together. Wang Daoyuan struggled to get up from the bed. His body felt weak. He felt like he was in a dream. The dream was very strange, but he couldn't remember what happened. He looked at the people in the room and felt a sense of familiarity. A strong man stood in front of the bed with a bottle of milk in his hand. Looking at his confused face, he asked, "Third brother? Wang Daoyuan, is your brain okay? I'm the eldest Zhao Dayuan." Hearing this name, a lot of memories appeared in his mind. Zhao Dayuan was his university roommate. He was the eldest and took care of the others like a big brother. The second brother, Wu Ming, and the fourth brother, Li Wenjiao, loved to play games. He often played with them. 5 people lived in the 6-person dorm. The 5th brother, Zhang Lini, was focused on getting into postgraduate studies. He spent most of his time in the library or the classroom. Wang Daoyuan took the milk from his boss and drank it all in one gulp. The feeling of his stomach churning felt slightly better. Why am I here? Aren't I in the Sea of Seven Stars? You still haven't forgotten about the dream? You've been talking in your sleep for a day and night. Something about the Sea of Seven Stars, Beiyuan. These two names are familiar, but I can't remember what happened. It's been a long time, and it's all about weird stuff. I don't know what you dreamed about. You even talked about cultivation. The final exam is in 2 weeks. You should adjust quickly. Don't fail your first final exam. I remember that I've been working for a few years after graduation. I even went to a place. I can't remember it. Forget about the things in your dream, right? We haven't even played in the first semester of our first year. What are you talking about? I think you should go to the library with fifth brother. Or second brother and fourth brother can play a few games. Don't let the dream affect your study life. Yeah, third brother. Don't worry about the dream. Hurry up and get online. I want to win. I can't carry second brother by myself. Chapter 1003. Wang Daoyuan lay on the bed for a long time, trying to sort out his messy thoughts. After a long time, he finally calmed down. He tried to recall anything about Beiyuan and the Sea of Seven Stars, but he couldn't remember anything. His memories were getting blurry, just like a dream. He would forget everything as soon as he woke up. Since he couldn't remember anything, he decided not to think about it. He grabbed some snacks from Big Brother, Second Brother, and Fourth Brother's table. Big Brother had already gone to the library to revise, but Second Brother and Fourth Brother were still playing games. He sat on a stool, eating while watching Second Brother and Fourth Brother play games. He even gave them some pointers. Second Brother, 3 people are going to surround you. It'll be too late if you don't leave now. When I finish this wave of soldiers, 3 people might not be able to catch me. Before he finished speaking, the screen turned black and white. Second Brother, you're really bad. Third Brother already told you to leave, but you still don't want to leave. Once we invest, Third Brother should hurry up and get online. Only by working together can we have a chance to help Second Brother, this scammer. In the following days, Wang Daoyuan was like an ordinary college student. After playing games for a few days, he began to revise for the final exam. After the exam, he went home with his luggage like everyone else. Wang Daoyuan had been wandering with his master. Wherever his master was, that was where his home was. After he started school, his master built a thatched cottage on a mountain not far from the school. Wang Daoyuan came to the thatched cottage and smelled a fragrance. He habitually shouted, "Master, what delicious food did you make?" 2 days ago, someone came to me for a fortune-telling and gave me some money. I thought it was about time you came back, so I went to buy some food. After saying that, a white-haired old man came out of a small thatched cottage on the east side of the thatched cottage. This was also their kitchen. The old man's name was Wang Yan. He was Wang Daoyuan's master. "Master, didn't you say that you quit this job?" "I don't want to. But what about the money for your school fees? You can't earn much by working part-time. Besides, it's not like I'm doing anything dangerous. When people come to beg me, I can point them in the right direction and earn some money." When Wang Daoyuan was just beginning to remember, his master helped people with fortune-telling and exorcising evil spirits. The poor people basically didn't need to pay for it, and only needed a simple meal. Only when they met a rich family would they be ruthless. When they met with difficulties, they would give them some money. They didn't have much savings. "All right, don't just stand there. Go inside and warm up. The food will be ready soon." This thatched hut had holes in every direction. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't be able to withstand such an environment. His master was a cultivator, and Wang Daoyuan had been practicing martial arts since he was a child, so he was more resistant to the cold. It didn't take much effort to come back from school. "Let me help you." After saying that, he also entered the kitchen. After a while, he carried the dishes back to the thatched hut. After the master and disciple finished their meal, Wang Daoyuan asked, "Master, I drank with my roommate half a month ago and got drunk for a day and a night. During this day and night, I had a very real dream. In the dream, I seemed to have arrived in a world where I could cultivate, and I made great achievements there. But after I woke up, these things were quickly forgotten, as if they never existed." "Forget it, forget it. Even if you don't forget, what can you do? If you aren't interested in cultivating, it's useless to remember anything. If you are interested in cultivating, I have a cultivation technique in my hands. In today's world, spiritual energy is almost exhausted. Most of the spirit veins are completely destroyed, and the few that aren't destroyed have fallen into a deep sleep. Some of the spiritual energy is also derived from the essence of the sun and the moon. There are few people in the deep mountains and forests, so there are still some left. Even if you cultivate, at most, you can only strengthen your body. It's very difficult for you to achieve anything. After saying that, a flame appeared in his hand. I've been cultivating for more than 100 years. Until now, I can only use the most basic spells to help people exorcise evil spirits. The actual effect isn't as great as showing off. After using it once, I have to spend a few days to recover. I wanted to teach you when you were young, but you were always unwilling to cultivate. No matter how much I coaxed you, it was useless. I've always felt that the things in the dream weren't fake. Perhaps I really do have the talent for cultivation. Not to mention anything else. At least I can live for a few more years. The average person can only live for 70 or 80 years, and they're all sick. You've lived for more than 100 years, but you're still hale and hearty, running as if you're flying. Just based on this, I'm willing to cultivate. Wang Yin smiled. It's fine as long as you're willing. My cultivation books are all in the chest. You can start cultivating from the meridian opening technique. That's the most basic cultivation technique for cultivators. The place we live is at the edge of the mountains, and there isn't much spiritual energy. It's very difficult to achieve anything if you cultivate here. You're young and strong, so you should run more into the mountains. Every morning before sunrise, go to the top of the mountain to absorb the purple energy. Normally, you have to do more breathing in the mountains. After your meridians are opened, you can take another step forward. You're already over 20 years old, so you've missed the best opportunity. In addition, spiritual energy is exhausted. Even if you cultivate diligently, it'll be very difficult for you to achieve anything. You still have to prioritize your studies. In terms of cultivation, it's fine as long as you can strengthen your body. Wang Daoyuan took out the meridian opening technique from the chest in the room. I'm going to cultivate now. You've also practiced martial arts for more than 10 years. You don't need me to teach you the foundation of your meridians. If there's anything you don't understand, don't force yourself. Just come back and ask me. After leaving the straw hut, Wang Daoyuan ran deep into the mountains. He found a mountain peak and began cultivating. Wang Daoyuan didn't expect his talent to be so good. It was as if he had divine help when cultivating. In just half a day, he was able to sense qi. After that, he persisted in cultivating. 10 years later, his cultivation had already reached the 4th level of qi refinement, surpassing his master. After Wang Daoyuan graduated, he worked hard in the city. However, his master still insisted on living in the mountains. Suddenly one day, his master called and asked him to go back. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly rushed back to the mountain and came to the straw hut. His master was already wearing a gorgeous Taoist robe and a lotus crown on his head. Seeing him return, his master smiled and said, "It's not easy for you to surpass me in cultivation at such a young age. To be able to train you, the inheritance of our lineage didn't end in my hands. I can die in peace. I don't expect you to be able to carry forward the inheritance. If you can pass it on, then continue to pass it on. If you can't, then there's nothing I can do. I've lived for 118 years, and I've also died of old age. I have no regrets in this life. You don't have to be sad. In order to take care of me all these years, you didn't get married. In the future, when you get married and have children, you can talk about your life in front of my grave. I can also smile in the underworld." As soon as he finished speaking, his master closed his eyes. His expression didn't change at all. He still had a smile on his face. Wang Daoyuan buried him on the mountain and placed 3 incense sticks in front of his grave. "Master, ever since I started cultivating, the things in my dreams have become clearer. Not long ago, I confirmed that I was in the illusion of my soul formation mental demon. In my previous life, I wasn't able to receive the inheritance when you were alive, so you died with unwillingness. This is also my life's regret. Accompanying you for 10 years can be considered as making up for this regret. I still have a big family in the Qianyuan realm. I can't continue to accompany you." With that, he returned to the thatched hut and took out the spiritual bead. He dripped his blood on it and used his divine consciousness to check it again. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket fell from the sky and turned him into ashes. His whole body fell into darkness. At this moment, all his memories after reincarnation came back. I didn't expect that a small regret in my previous life would become a place for the mental demon tribulation. Unfortunately, I've already let go of what happened in my previous life. You're thinking too much if you want to trap me with these things." Before he finished speaking, the scene in front of him changed, and his previous memories quickly disappeared. Wang Daoyuan was wearing the white dragon and fish robe of the Wang family. He checked his cultivation and found that he was at the 7th level of qi refinement. Beside him were 5th uncle, 12th uncle Wang Xiuming, 12th uncle Wang Daoxing, 2nd brother Wang Daoxing, and 6 other uncles. In front of him was a city. Above the city gate, there were 3 big words Golden Goose City. At the city gate, there were cultivators of the Netherworld sect registering the cultivators entering the city. There were 2 teams in front of the city gate. They were the cultivators of the family and the rogue cultivators. Chapter 1004. Wang Daoyuan was stunned, feeling that the scene in front of him was very familiar. It seemed to have happened somewhere before, but he couldn't remember it at all. Not long after, a huge golden eagle descended from the sky, and dozens of cultivators in golden robes dismounted from the back of the golden eagle. This group of people was from the Jin family, and the Jin family's ancestor had a very high status in the Netherworld sect. They wanted to enter the city first, and someone from the Li family, who was in front of the Wang family, scolded them. The 2 families had a conflict, and the 5th granduncle spoke out to dissuade them. So the Jin family's patriarch confronted the Wang and Li families. After that, the Netherworld sect's elder guarding the Golden Goose City came out to help, and everyone entered the city one after another. A few days later, 3 Netherworld sect elders led thousands of cultivators to the Carriage Gorge in the Guiyuan Valley to ambush the demonic beasts. The Netherworld sect sent out cultivators disguised as caravans to lure the demonic beasts. After these demonic beasts were fooled, they began to break out of the encirclement to the east of the Guiyuan Valley, and the Wang family's in-laws, the Yang family, desperately defended. The Netherworld sect's people lying in ambush in other places swarmed up and killed all the demonic beasts. After that, the extermination of the demonic beasts was successful, and the 11 people of the Wang family returned to the Jade Spring Peak unharmed. However, at this time, another memory of the Battle of the Carriage Gorge appeared in Wang Daoyuan's mind. In this battle, the Netherworld sect used the demonic beasts to exhaust the old family. After dealing with the demonic beasts nearby, they were ambushed by their old rivals, the Wanling sect and the Setting Sun Palace, and suffered heavy losses. The Wang family broke out in different directions, and in the end, only 4 of the 11 people survived. The 6 granduncles and the 12th uncle Wang Xiuming died in battle, and the 12th uncle was seriously injured and hid in an underground rock crevice, and he was found by him. This memory was very real, and it came very strangely. He had never thought in this direction, but he suddenly had this memory. Wang Daoyuan's mind was a bit confused, and he didn't know which one was real. He simply stopped thinking about it and cultivated in peace. He didn't expect that his cultivation speed was so terrifying as a penta-spiritual root, and he reached the peak of the qi refining stage in just a few years. Then he went to look for the inheritance of the 5 elements spiritual master, and even found several foundation establishment pills. He changed his cultivation method, and succeeded in building his foundation with the help of the foundation establishment pills. At the moment, he was only 25 years old, and had become the youngest foundation establishment cultivator in the state of Zhao. With the help of the remaining foundation building pills, the 12th uncle also succeeded in building his foundation. The Wang clan went from a precarious situation to a clan with 4 foundation establishment cultivators. Not long after, Wang Jiza, the old master of the Wang family, reached the peak of foundation establishment. Because he didn't have the purple cloudwood core, or the yin-yang purple jade, he could only choose to break through by force. Who would have thought that they would actually succeed in establishing a Zifu palace? And the Wang clan would become a Zifu palace clan. All of a sudden, the Wang clan became extremely popular in the Netherworld sect's territory. There were many clans that had tried to get close to Wang Daoyuan, and many elders of the Netherworld sect wanted to take Wang Daoyuan as their disciple. At the same time, the inexplicable memory in Wang Daoyuan's mind began to have new content. In this memory, he didn't reach foundation establishment until he was in his 40s. His grandfather, Wang Jiza, was also stuck at the 9th level of the foundation establishment realm due to an internal injury in his early years. He was unable to advance any further and finally passed away in meditation when he was over 230 years old. Even though he and his 5th great-uncle had opened up their violet mansions, they were still being suppressed by the Netherworld sect. Their future was bleak. This time, Wang Daoyuan was even more confused. Which one was the real one? One was that he had become a cultivation genius, and the elders of the Netherworld sect were fighting to take him as their disciple. The other was that the clan's future was somewhat bleak due to the suppression of the Netherworld sect. Wang Daoyuan didn't know what to do. He could only go into seclusion and think about it carefully. Time passed day by day, and the memories in his mind were also increasing. The development of the Wang clan outside was also changing with each passing day. After sitting in seclusion for decades, the 12th uncle had already broken through to the Golden Core realm. The inexplicable memory in his mind said that the clan was severely suppressed by the Netherworld sect. They could only shrink their businesses and didn't dare to expand at will. At this time, Wang Daoyuan was no longer confused. The things that happened outside were too smooth and too unreasonable. It was normal for them to be suppressed. He was more and more certain that the memories in his mind were the real ones. After another decade or so, the scene in front of him completely collapsed, and the surroundings became pitch black. He recovered all his memories. In the Battle of the Carriage Gorge, the 12th uncle died in battle. It was a great loss to the clan. Later, grandfather Wang Jiza passed away. 8th uncle and 9th aunt also failed to open up the Purple Mansion and died on the eve of the clan's rise. For Wang Daoyuan, it was a pity. After that, he entered a new illusion. In some illusions, he obtained a large number of high-grade spiritual herbs from the herb garden of the 100 Spirits' true lord. There were also illusions where Zhou Luan agreed to let him take in concubines, and slept with 3 wives and 4 concubines. These illusions were all created based on the regrets in his heart. Who didn't have regrets? Who didn't want to make up for these regrets? Who wouldn't be tempted by the opportunity to make up for their regrets? When a cultivator went through the inner demon tribulation, the power of their spiritual sense was also constantly consumed. The inner demon tribulation was a test, and there was definitely a chance of survival. The real memories in his mind were this chance of survival. If he could accept reality, he could escape from the inner demon tribulation. If he continued to sink into the illusions and couldn't extricate himself, he would eventually exhaust his spiritual sense and die. After walking out of the illusions, Wang Daoyuan appeared in the endless void. It was completely dark in front of him, and there was no light at all. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Daoyuan felt a kind of invisible and untouchable power continuously gathering around him. After an unknown period of time, a wisp of gray energy appeared beside him. Slowly, the gray energy increased and condensed into a gray liquid, which converged into a gray ocean. Then, a trace of purple appeared in the gray energy. As time passed, there was more and more purple. Wang Daoyuan couldn't be more familiar with the purplish-gray energy in front of him. There was a lot of purplish-gray energy in the void outside the space of the spirit pearl. Although there was a huge difference in quality, they should be the same thing. When he repaired the spirit pearl, the spirit vein of the heavenly/mountain range also produced the purplish-gray liquid. At that time, the heavenly/mountain range only produced about a bowl of the purplish-gray liquid, which affected the concentration of spirit qi in the entire Beiyuan Xiuxian. The purplish-gray liquid in front of him formed an ocean. If this was all absorbed by the spirit pearl, the potential of the spirit pearl's space would be extremely terrifying. He wanted to put the purplish-gray liquid into the spirit pearl's space, but he found that he couldn't move, and he couldn't release his divine sense or spirit chi. He was just a spectator in this void, and couldn't do anything. Waves kept rising in the purplish-gray ocean, and the rumbling of thunder came from the endless void above. Suddenly, a black bolt of lightning struck the purplish-gray ocean. At the place where the lightning struck, a white energy and a black energy appeared. Wang Daoyuan was too familiar with these two types of energy. They were Yang Qi and Yin Qi, and both were of extremely high quality. Even the pure Yang Qi in the golden crow velvet feather couldn't be compared to this white energy. The black and white energies intertwined, forming a Tai Chi diagram. This Tai Chi diagram circled in the purplish-gray ocean, constantly absorbing the purplish-gray liquid to strengthen itself. At the same time, there were black and white energies leaking out of the Tai Chi diagram. The white energy floated up, and the black energy sank. These energies kept expanding and finally formed a half-white, half-black spherical shell. New energies began to surge out of the Tai Chi diagram. These energies were divided into a total of 5 types. Wang Daoyuan couldn't be more familiar with these 5 types of energies. They were the 5 elements spirit chi. However, the quality of these 5 elements spirit chi was extremely high, and it was extremely rare. He had come into contact with Sword Immortal Beiyuan, and had seen the world. Even Sword Immortal Beiyuan's immortal power couldn't compare to the 5 elements spirit chi. The 5 elements spirit chi kept surging out of the Tai Chi diagram, and fusing into the spherical shell formed by the Yin Yang Qi. After the 5 elements spirit chi fused, the spherical shell quickly became thick and stable. Under the continuous nourishment of the Yin Yang Qi and the 5 elements spirit chi, the spherical shell became bigger and bigger, enveloping Wang Daoyuan's entire body. In the spherical shell, he sensed extremely powerful 5 elements and Yin Yang laws. Chapter 1005. When Yuanying breaks through to Ascended Realm, the first step is to increase the intensity of Yuanying. This is to build a foundation for understanding more profound laws. The Ascended Realm Inner Demon Tribulation is to test the cultivator's will. It's to prepare for understanding more profound laws. Now is the time to do so. Wang Daoyuan focused all his energy to feel the power of the laws around him. Very quickly, he found a very familiar law, the law of space. Although he hasn't comprehended the law of space yet, with the space inside the spirit orb, he can always feel it. At first, the law of space was very weak, but as the black and white shell absorbed more and more spirit energy, the law of space became stronger and stronger. The inside of the shell formed a space similar to a storage bag. After that, the earth-type spirit energy condensed into a piece of land with a mountain range rising up. The water spirit energy condensed into raindrops, falling on the ground. Under the nourishment of the raindrops, the wood spirit energy gave birth to plants. The fire spirit energy turned into flames, igniting the plants, leaving behind ashes that merged into the ground. The 5 elements were intertwined, flowing endlessly. The yang energy turned into a red sun. The yin energy turned into a bright moon. The sun and moon rotated, illuminating the land. The law of space inside the shell also became stronger and stronger. At this time, the inside of the shell is almost the same as the space inside the spirit orb. After that, the Tai Chi diagram outside the shell completely merged with the shell. The mountain range on the ground shook violently, spirit energy began to flow from it. This is the embryonic form of a spirit vein. The purplish-gray sea outside the shell slowly seeped into the shell. The purplish-gray energy finally converged into the spirit vein. After being converted by the spirit vein, it turned into extremely pure spirit energy. The shell quickly grew bigger. Wang Daoyuan still wanted to continue observing, but suddenly felt dizzy, then fainted, completely losing consciousness. On the island where he broke through to Ascended Realm, Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying had automatically returned to his thought sea. He laid down on the ground. The pressure under the tribulation clouds quickly weakened. Zhou Wan was a bit nervous, asking, "What happened to him?" Xianxian answered, "Master is fine." After seeing through the illusion, He used up all his spirit sense to comprehend the laws. Now that he's asleep, the gift of heaven and earth will soon descend. Before she could finish her sentence, a deafening snoring sound came from Wang Daoyuan's side. This time, Zhou felt relieved. The tribulation clouds in the sky turned from black to white. 2 hours later, they were completely white. Then, a vortex appeared in the center of the clouds, and the white clouds quickly shrank under the vortex's devouring. An hour later, the white clouds completely disappeared, and a raindrop formed in the center of the vortex. These raindrops looked no different from ordinary raindrops. They didn't even have any spiritual energy fluctuations. In the end, the tribulation clouds within a radius of several thousand kilometers all transformed into this single raindrop. No one would believe that these were ordinary raindrops. The raindrops fell right between Wang Daoyuan's eyebrows and seeped into his sea of consciousness, entering Yuanying's body. Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying automatically activated his cultivation technique to refine the raindrops. As the spiritual energy flowed, an insignificant portion of the raindrops was also separated and merged with the spiritual energy. After one cycle of spiritual power, part of the spiritual power was converted into qi, blood, and divine sense. With the replenishment of divine sense, Wang Daoyuan instantly woke up. After feeling the majestic power inside Yuanying, he continued to activate his cultivation technique. He wanted to control the gift of heaven and earth, but he found that he couldn't shake it at all. The newly produced essence, qi, and spirit contained the power of the gift of heaven and earth. As the cultivation technique was activated, the essence, qi, and spirit flowed throughout his body. Yuanying and physical body began to transform. Yuanying's 5 internal organs were originally formed by spiritual fire. Now that they were nourished by the gift of heaven and earth, they were the first to react. The fire seed absorbed a large amount of the 5 elements' spiritual energy, gradually increasing its own strength. In just 2 hours, the 5 spiritual fires all broke through to the 6th level. However, the gift of heaven and earth didn't suffer any obvious loss until now. It was simply too difficult to exhaust it completely. There was no need to strengthen the soul. When the nascent soul was formed, the soul and spiritual energy began to fuse, forming Yuanying. However, at that time, the two sides hadn't completely merged into one. Some special methods could still separate the two. Yuanying was also very weak. Now it was different. After reaching the semi-god realm, the entire Yuanying was one. It was impossible to find the soul. After absorbing a large amount of gift of heaven and earth, the entire Yuanying, including the soul, had received great benefits. Originally, the entire Yuanying was shining with a purple gold light. Now the light gradually disappeared, and the Yuanying also began to shrink. Half a day later, the purple gold light completely disappeared and shrank to a height of 1 foot. At this moment, the Yuanying looked no different from an ordinary baby. Its parts were very complete. At this time, it could no longer be called Yuanying. It should be called primordial spirit. It could completely leave the physical body and live, cultivate, and fight alone. However, that would mean that it would walk the path of a ghost immortal. The importance of the physical body could never be replaced. The primordial spirit opened its eyes and looked at the world in front of it. Its 2 big eyes were filled with intelligence. Then, it crawled a few steps in the sea of consciousness. This made Wang Daoyuan very excited. Although the Yuanying also had facial features, it was still like a sleeping baby. It wouldn't open its eyes at all. It was the same even if it turned into a primordial spirit. Usually, when a cultivator reached the Mahayana realm, the primordial spirit would be able to move freely. Now that his physical body and primordial spirit had reached a saturated state, they could no longer absorb the gift of heaven and earth. That raindrop had only consumed about a quarter of it. He summoned the 5 natal Dharma artifacts in his dantian into his sea of consciousness. These 5 Dharma artifacts each had a weapon spirit. Previously, because their foundation was too strong, they hadn't been able to give birth to intelligence. Now that he had broken through to the semi-god realm, it should be enough for them to give birth to intelligence. Wang Daoyuan continued to use his cultivation method. The gift of heaven and earth kept fusing into his essence, energy, and spirit. Then he guided his essence, energy and spirit into the 5 Dharma artifacts. The 5 Dharma artifacts were quite capable. They lasted for an hour, before they were completely saturated. Now their brilliance was restrained and they looked ordinary. The weapon spirits had fallen into a deep sleep. It seemed that they were about to advance. After having a weapon spirit, the power of the pattern would turn into the power of laws, and completely fuse into the weapon spirit. As long as the weapon spirit and the material of the Dharma artifact reached the level of advancement, the Dharma artifact would automatically advance. There was no need to modify the pattern. The 5 Dharma artifacts didn't consume too much of the gift of heaven and earth. Wang Daoyuan transferred a large amount of his essence, energy, and spirit into the 5 elements spiritual fire. At this moment, the spiritual field in the spiritual pearl was trembling slightly. The 5 elements spiritual meridians kept extending. The meridians had begun to produce level 6 spirit chi. The spiritual fires in the space were all seed fires. Only the life spiritual fire was nourished by the mysterious sky green spirit peach. Its grade didn't fall too much. It had reached the peak of level 5. The other spiritual fires were far inferior. Even with the nourishment of the 5 elements essence, only the red sun primordial fire had reached the upper grade of level 5. It was congenitally deficient, so its space for growth was severely limited. Absorbing the gift of heaven and earth before was very beneficial to these spiritual fires. The gift of heaven and earth from the soul formation, heavenly tribulation would only be more effective. Soon, the life spiritual fire was the first to break through to level 6. The other 4 spiritual fires had also reached the upper grade of level 5, and were not far from the peak of level 5. After the mysterious sky green spirit peach received some gift of heaven and earth, its spiritual energy began to fluctuate. It seemed that it was about to advance. When it reached level 6, it would be able to bear peaches. The mysterious sky green spirit peach was a sacred medicine for healing. Even if its foundation was severely damaged, or its limbs were crippled, it could still recover. After the spiritual fires were all saturated, Wang Daoyuan used the essence, energy and spirit to cast a spell, and turned it into a rain that watered the entire spiritual pearl. Yun-Yi, that lazy guy, also flew out of the pond, and tried his best to absorb the rain. In addition to drawing the rain into the spiritual pearl, Ying-Long, who was between the eyebrows of his primordial spirit, also benefited a lot. It had been devouring the gift of heaven and earth since the beginning. It also had the Nanming primordial fire, given by Wang Mingchen in its stomach. It was originally only an inferior level 4 spiritual fire. After receiving a large amount of nourishment from the gift of heaven and earth, it improved to the superior level 4 in just a day. After another day, there was only about a quarter of the gift of heaven and earth left in his body. He also gave some of the gift of heaven and earth to Zhouwan. Her body was too weak, and she often fell into a deep sleep because of overwork. Chapter 1006. Wang Daoyuan stood up and glanced at his surroundings. Before the tribulation, there were many boulders nearby, but now they were all broken. The main target of the semi-god realm tribulation was Wang Daoyuan, but the energy was too terrifying. Even a little bit of it would cause the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. There were too many gifts from heaven and earth. Without the space of the spiritual pearl, it was impossible to absorb them all by himself. If it was an ordinary person, a lot of it would definitely be leaked out. This was also to compensate for the loss of the tribulation ground. However, Wang Daoyuan had the space of the spiritual pearl, so he could absorb more or less. Only a small amount would be leaked out. He took out Lei Peng's flying boat, and brought Zhou Wan, his doppelganger, and the Xianxian cauldron onto the flying boat. Wang Daoyuan drew out a large amount of spiritual power, and injected it into the Xianxian cauldron. There are still a lot of gifts from heaven and earth in my spiritual power. It should be able to help you recover to the mid-grade of the 6th rank. The Xianxian appeared and thanked him profusely. Then Wang Daoyuan put it into the space of the spiritual pearl. The 2 doppelganger went to control the flying boat, and leave this place as soon as possible. After all, the tribulation was too loud and might attract monsters. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't care about low-grade 6th-rank monsters, once they got entangled, the gifts from heaven and earth would be wasted. The two of them came to the bedroom. Zhou asked, I heard that the inner demon tribulation might cause serious damage to the mind. You were still unconscious before. Are you okay? Shadow Master, don't worry. I'm fine now. It's just that there are still a lot of gifts from heaven and earth. My body can't absorb any more. There's about a quarter left. I'll leave it all to you. Absorb as much as you can. At the same time, nourish your natal Dharma artifact. If you really can't absorb it, I'll send it to the secret realm. The gifts from heaven and earth of a semi-god realm cultivator are difficult to control. How are you going to give it to me? Wang Daoyuan took out a beast skin book seriously. This is the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. You'll understand once you read it. Zhou took the beast skin book and blushed after reading one page. Where did you get this dual cultivation technique from? It's so frivolous. This is the yin-yang art of intercourse that was derived by a Mahayana cultivator in the Valley of Beasts. During dual cultivation, the meridians of both parties can be temporarily connected. I'll convert all of my spiritual energy into the fire attribute, and you can use your spiritual fire to refine it. This cultivation method is very beneficial to the physical body. You often overwork yourself, so you can use this to improve your physical body. This senior was worried that the younger generation wouldn't be able to cultivate well, so he added some pictures. What a good person. Be good and study hard. After persuading her for a long time, Zhou finally agreed to cultivate. For the next month, the clone controlled Lei Peng's flying ship to fly around the sea. Wang Daoyuan accompanied Zhou to cultivate. The remaining quarter of the gift of heaven and earth was finally consumed. Zhou had only absorbed less than 20% of it. The rest was put into the space of the spiritual pearl, by Wang Daoyuan, to nurture the more valuable spiritual plants. In this short period of 1 month, Zhou physical body had made great progress. Now it was very rare for her to fall asleep. After absorbing a lot of gifts of heaven and earth, Yuanying had also made great progress. It was equivalent to 10 years of hard cultivation in the past. After the two of them finished cultivating, Zhou was a little tired. She rested in Wang Daoyuan's arms. After a long time, Zhou asked, You're already at the soul formation realm. Let's go to the Lonely Star Island as soon as possible. Help the head of the Wen family heal his injuries. Ask for a few islands, and return to Beiyuan Xiuxian as soon as possible. I'm worried that the demon clan will do something while we're out. Don't worry. I left a few clones in Beiyuan. Before I left, I gave them an order. If the demon beasts invaded, and they couldn't resist, they would let the ice tortoise self-destruct. Although I'm far away and can't communicate directly with my clones, I can clearly sense them. However, I could clearly sense the death of my clone. Now that my clones haven't done anything, it means that there's no big problem. But you're right. We should go to the Lonely Star Island. Help the Moon Sung Cheon take back the position of the head of the family, and occupy a few islands. Then, we'll return to Beiyuan. Find a way to give the demon clan a hard time, and completely solve the problem. If we don't destroy the demon clan, don't even think about building a transit station between the two cultivation worlds. The flying boat stopped wandering around, and began to fly to the Lonely Star Island. More than 1,000,000 miles west of the Lonely Star Island, they switched to an ordinary flying boat. They also put away their clones, and let Wang Daoyuan control them personally. When they arrived at the cave abode of the Black Ice Fairy, on the Lonely Star Island, Wen Zhong was the only one left. Seeing Wang Daoyuan return, he quickly cupped his hands and said, Greetings, senior. No need to be so polite. Just call me Daoyuzhou. When we first met, our cultivation levels were about the same. I didn't expect that after more than 100 years, my cultivation level has dropped by a whole realm. The younger generation is truly formidable. Master has a hidden place in the Ice Sea. I'll take you and your wife there now. Then, he took out a 4th-grade flying boat, and left the Lonely Star Island with Wang Daoyuan and Zhou, heading north. After flying for 2 days in the vast ice field, they landed on an ice mountain that was less than 1,000 feet tall. As soon as the flying boat landed, the moon Sung Cheon appeared at the foot of the ice mountain. I should call you Dao Zhou this time. Seeing that Dao's face is glowing, your essence, qi, and spirit must be no weaker than a mid-stage soul formation cultivator. My cultivation path has been cut off, so I can't compare to you. Wang Daoyuan didn't hold back. When Daoyu is too kind, your talent is not bad. After you heal your wounds, it won't be a problem for you to cultivate to the late-stage soul formation. We still have other things to do, so let's heal as soon as possible. The moon Sung Cheon could only smile apologetically. Please follow me. Then, the four of them walked into a hidden door at the foot of the ice mountain. After walking for some distance inside the ice mountain, they arrived in front of a light screen. When I was young, I traveled around and found this small mystic realm by chance. Only a few of my trusted subordinates, and I know about this place. Then he walked into the mystic realm first. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't take the moon Sung Cheon's strength seriously, he didn't underestimate him either. After greeting the Xianxian cauldron and getting ready to attack at any time, he followed the moon Sung Cheon into the mystic realm. This mystic realm wasn't big, with a radius of about 50 kilometers. There was a 5th-grade elemental spirit vein in the mystic realm. Because the spirit vein was elemental, the climate in the mystic realm wasn't a world of ice and snow. Instead, there were mountains, rivers, and many spirit fields. The moon Sung Cheon brought them to a spacious stone room. The Black Ice Fairy and 5 Yuanian cultivators were all here. Seeing the 4 of them walk in, everyone stood up and bowed. Among them, a late-stage Yuanian cultivator with white hair stared at Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan for a long time. This young man is indeed talented. He can cultivate to the soul formation stage without any rotten aura on him. It shouldn't be a problem for him to cultivate to the peak of the soul formation stage. It's a pity that he already has a wife. Otherwise, a marriage alliance with our Wen clan would be a wonderful thing. Our Wen clan's eldest daughter has a 9-inch ice spirit vein, so it shouldn't be difficult for her to cultivate to the late-stage soul formation stage. The tri-elemental spirit vein was formed by the fusion of 2 types of spirit veins, so it was very difficult for a heavenly spirit vein to appear. The fact that the Black Ice Fairy has a 9-inch ice spirit root means that her talent isn't inferior to a 9-inch 5-elemental spirit root. Another middle-aged late-stage Yuanian cultivator added, "It's not a problem that he's already married. We cultivators either don't have a Dao partner or have a group of wives and concubines. It's just that our Wen clan's eldest daughter has a noble status. She can't be someone's concubine." Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan naturally understood the meaning behind their words. They wanted Wang Daoyuan to marry the Black Ice Fairy. Moreover, the Black Ice Fairy was going to be the main wife. They weren't just saying this casually. It was most likely the moon Sung Cheon's idea. Wang Daoyuan chuckled. "Don't forget a poor friend, and don't leave a wife who has gone through hardships. I met Wan when I was still in the Violet Palace realm. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't be where I am today. After being married for more than 200 years, she gave birth to 3 children for me. The eldest has a 9-inch fire spirit root and is born with a natural body for battle. Most of my businesses are managed by him. The second has a 9-inch metal spirit root and is born with a sword body. The youngest has a 9-inch wood spirit root and is born with a spiritual body. How can a mother be a concubine when she gives birth to a child with outstanding talent? I have no intention of marrying again. When Daoyu, there's no need to probe any further." Chapter 1007. Upon hearing this, Zhou Wan pretended to be ashamed. "We don't have many children. We only have 3 good-for-nothing children. Please excuse us." However, the arrogance in her eyes betrayed her. Others couldn't see it, but she couldn't hide it from Wang Daoyuan. The 1 family members in the stone room were shocked. The 3 children all had special constitutions, and their spirit roots were so strong. Any one of them was more talented than Wen Bingxian. They had long suspected that Wang Daoyuan was a disciple of a hidden power, but now it seemed that they had underestimated him. There were many Yuanian cultivators in the Sea of 7 Stars, and there were also many female Yuanian cultivators. As long as their cultivation level was not lower than that of the Yuanian cultivators, Their descendants would all have heavenly spirit roots. In the Qixing Si Xiuxing community, heavenly spirit roots were not rare. However, there were also differences in heavenly spirit roots. Even if the parents were Yuanian cultivators, it was not easy for them to have a heavenly spirit root that was more than 9.5 inches. A battle physique plus a 9.7-inch heavenly spirit root was considered a top talent in the Sea of Seven Stars. As for the spirit body, it had nothing to do with the parents' cultivation level. To a large extent, it depended on luck. If the parents were mortals, it was also possible for them to have spirit body descendants. The Qixing Si Xiuxing community was formed by islands, which were often attacked by demon beasts. There were not many mortals and low-level cultivators, so there were naturally not many spirit body cultivators. A 9.7-inch heavenly spirit root with a spirit body was too scary. A younger early-stage Yuanian cultivator asked, "What is a sword body?" After asking, he realized that he had said something wrong and was a little embarrassed. Moon Sungcheon came back to his senses. A sword body is a type of battle physique, and it is much stronger than ordinary battle physiques. A Mahayana sword cultivator's divine ability must be related to sword cultivation. Only then will there be a higher possibility of leaving behind a sword body for their descendants. If their cultivation level is low, the possibility of their descendants having a sword body is very small. People with a sword body are all natural sword cultivators. From the moment they were born, they carried with them a murderous aura. When he used ordinary offensive spells, his power would far surpass that of ordinary cultivators. In addition to being able to learn the sword will without a teacher, one could also use the innate killing intent to cultivate the natal sword qi. Relying on this natal sword qi, fighting above his level was a piece of cake. Zhou Daoyu's second son had such talent. As long as he could find a rank 7 spirit vein, it would not be impossible for him to cultivate to the almighty realm. In the vast Qixing Si Xiuxing community, there hasn't been a sword body for tens of thousands of years. There are only records of it in ancient books. The early-stage Yuanian cultivator was also shocked. He didn't expect the sword body to be so strong. After a long while, everyone regained their senses. Their faces were filled with respect. To be able to give birth to a descendant with a sword body, it was very likely that there had been a Mahayana sword cultivator among their ancestors. Just this foundation alone was not something the Wen clan could compare to. How could the Taoist companion of such an outstanding disciple of a hidden great power be an ordinary person? He must also have an extremely prominent family background. Meddling in other people's family affairs could easily lead to trouble. If a few soul formation cultivators were to be provoked, the Wen clan would not be able to clean up the mess. The Yuanian cultivator who had previously asked Wang Daoyuan to marry the Black Ice Fairy cupped his hands and said, "Senior Zhou, I didn't expect you to have such a family background. I have been rude." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "It's okay. Let's heal Wen Daoyu first. This place is a bit shabby. There are no meditation rooms or anything like that. Can I heal here?" Of course. Daoyu received the gift of heaven and earth after the soul formation, heavenly tribulation. His essence soul should be intact. You only need to check the injuries on his physical body. Daoyu, please retract the spirit qi in your physical body. Don't stop me from checking. Moon Sungcheon nodded and retracted all the spirit qi in his physical body. Wang Daoyuan condensed the ice spirit qi from the water and gold spirit qi and injected it into Moon Sungcheon's body, circulating it through his meridians. Daoyu's physical body has a lot of injuries. Many of his internal organs are injured. However, most of his injuries have recovered by more than 90%. The remaining ones can only be said to be some lingering problems in his divine sense. As long as he doesn't try to break through to the Mahayana realm, there won't be any major problems. The biggest problem is that his qi and blood are constantly flowing out. Improving his essence, soul, and physical body requires a large amount of qi and blood. It's already quite difficult to maintain the current state with the remaining qi and blood. It's impossible for him to go any further. Old injuries are difficult to heal. If you want to remove the roots of your injuries, I can't do anything unless I find some heavenly treasure. However, I have a way to make these injuries not affect your cultivation. Hearing that there was hope, everyone in the Wen clan looked expectant. Moon Sungcheon quickly said, Daoyu, please tell me what you can do. No matter what reward you want, as long as I can give it, I won't refuse. Last time when the Seven Stars Secret Realm opened, the Wen clan, Blood Shark, and the Seven Stars Alliance fought over some artifact forging and puppet forging inheritances. When Daoyu retakes the position of clan head, just give me the copies of these inheritances. The young Yuanian cultivator spoke without thinking again. We haven't heard of this before. Only the Wen clan's trader, the Seven Stars Alliance, and the higher-ups of Blood Shark should know about this. Since you know so much, could you be the early Yuanian cultivator from back then? Moon Sungcheon angrily rebuked. Don't talk nonsense. The cultivator quickly stood up and bowed. I misspoke. Please forgive me. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. Even if I didn't say this, Miss Wen and Wen Zhong would have guessed it. That's right. I'm the early Yuanian cultivator, who entered the Ziwei Palace back then. I also stole most of the artifact forging inheritances. Moon Sungcheon had guessed that it was him before, but he wasn't sure. Now that Wang Daoyuan admitted it, he had no choice but to believe it. On second thought, it didn't matter even if this matter was spread. Wang Daoyuan didn't have any assets in Qixing Si Xiuxian community, who could do anything to a soul formation cultivator, who had nothing to worry about. Daoyu, don't worry. Some inheritance copies won't be a problem. This matter can't be spread. Anyone who disobeys will be removed from the family tree. The Wen clan members naturally knew the severity of the matter, so they all agreed. Let's heal first. When Daoyu's injuries have dragged on for more than 300 years, there's not much hope of getting rid of the roots. Relying on the life force in the spirit fire alone won't be of much use. Then he took out a blood lotus seed. This item can heal the decline of blood and qi. When Daoyu should have no problem healing the decline of blood and qi if he takes this and uses it with his life force. The remaining blood lotus seed was planted in the space of the spirit pearl. During the chaos in the southern wasteland, he caught a late-stage golden core blood demon and used his blood essence to grow the first batch of 4th-grade blood lotus seeds. Later, he used the blood essence of the Yuanian blood demon to plant another batch. The blood lotus seed in Wang Duan's hands was already a 5th-grade, middle-grade blood lotus seed. However, the blood lotus seed required too much blood essence. Shuequan, a peak-stage Yuanian demon, could only grow 2 true demon blood lotuses at most without affecting his own strength. Moon Sungcheon carefully examined the blood lotus seed and exclaimed, This item contains extremely pure blood and qi. It's indeed extraordinary. Moreover, my Wen clan's ancient records have never mentioned this item. Wen Daoyu, have you heard of blood demons? This kind of demon appeared in the myriad demon islands. They absorb blood essence to cultivate. This blood lotus seed was nurtured with the blood demon's blood essence. Perhaps things will move in the opposite direction when they reach an extreme. The chaotic energy in the blood demon's blood essence has been purified by the true demon snow lotus. Only pure blood essence is left in the blood lotus seed. Daoyu, if you trust me, take the blood lotus seed. I'll use my life force to assist you. It should be able to treat the loss of blood essence. If it can't be cured, I have no other way. I naturally trust Daoyu's character. If he really had any ulterior motives, he could have dealt with me when he brought me out of the secret underwater realm. Finishing his words, he took the blood lotus seed and swallowed it. Then, he sat cross-legged on the ground and began to refine the blood lotus seed. A life spirit fire appeared in Wang Daoyuan's hand, and an azure dragon flew out from the fire. The azure dragon opened its mouth and spat out wisps of white mist, which merged into Moon Sungcheon's body. The natal magic tool was in the crucial period of forming its spirit, so it couldn't be used casually. Using the azure dragon reversal technique barehanded was less interesting than using the azure dragon pearl. However, the life force and the blood lotus seed from before were real. Moon Sungcheon was originally lacking in blood essence. His face was pale, and he looked like he was overworked. After swallowing the blood lotus seed for less than 10 breaths, color began to return to his face. Chapter 1008. The blood chi of the blood lotus seed and the life force of the azure dragon flowed rapidly through Wen Qingtian's meridians, flowing through every part of his body and into his blood. The power of the mid-grade level 5 blood lotus seed was not much for a soul formation cultivator, but it still took Moon Sungcheon 3 days to completely refine it. At this moment, Moon Sungcheon's body was emitting powerful blood chi waves. Although he could not be compared to Wang Daoyuan, he was still much stronger than a late-stage Yuanian cultivator. After refining the last bit of power of the blood lotus seed, Moon Sungcheon stopped circulating his spiritual power. He stood up and felt his body. I've never felt so powerful in the past 300 years. Wang Daoyuan turned the azure dragon back into spiritual fire and put it back into his body. How's Daoyu's recovery? My blood chi won't continue to decline. I tried to use spiritual power to convert it. The conversion efficiency is about the same as recorded in the ancient records. There shouldn't be any problems. That's good. I've already done what I promised Daoyu. As an outsider, it's inappropriate for me to interfere with the Wen family's affairs. I'll take my leave first. Then he took out a jade pendant. After you take back the position of the Wen family head, crush this jade pendant. I'll come back for my reward. Moon Sungcheon took the jade pendant. Daoyu, don't worry. I'll take back the position of the family head soon. Wang Daoyuan held Zhouwan's hand and walked out. The Black Ice Fairy's expression was very strange. There was joy and sadness. However, no one else noticed her. Only when Zhong looked at her and sighed. Wang Daoyuan and Zhouwan left the secret realm and took a flying boat to the southwest. Zhouwan kept staring at Wang Daoyuan. She stared at him until he felt uncomfortable. Why are you looking at me like that? Who's looking at you like that? I just didn't expect that a lecherous person like you would actually reject the Wen clan's proposal. The Wen clan has more than one divine transformation realm cultivator. If you marry Wen Bingxian, you can borrow the Wen clan's power. With the help of the Wen clan, you can also unify the Sea of 7 Stars faster. If I marry Wen Bingxian, will the Wen clan listen to my orders? With the identity of the Wen family's son-in-law, I'm afraid that some people in the Wen family will think that I'm living off a woman. To subdue the Wen clan, he had to marry Wen Bingxian. To subdue the blood shark in the 7 Stars Alliance, did he have to marry someone else? In the future, there will be too many forces to subdue in the Battle of Providence. How many wives and concubines will I have to marry? After a moment of silence, he said, Speaking of which, this doesn't seem too bad. Before he could finish his words, he suffered a heavy blow to his waist. I knew you weren't a good person. You eat what's in the bowl, and look at what's in the pot. You even planned for things that you didn't see. Lord Shadow Master, please spare me, don't hit my waist. If you hurt my waist, I'm not the only one who'll suffer. Zhouwan snorted coldly and kicked his calf again. Wang Daoyuan had thick skin and flesh, so this attack was nothing to him. Lord Shadow Master, don't worry. Wen Bingxian is just a silly girl. How can she compare to you? We've been Taoist companions for more than 200 years. We know each other very well. If you don't want to get involved in the Wen clan's affairs, where should we go next? Of course we're going to watch the show. Back then, I was too weak and was chased by those mad dogs, Blood Shark and the 7 Stars Alliance, so I didn't dare to show my face. Now that I have enough strength, the two enemies are fighting each other again. I'm also curious about what good things they found on our rare treasure island. After flying for hundreds of thousands of miles, something happened in the space of the spiritual pearl. Xian Xian said to Wang Daoyuan's doppelganger, Master, the spirit of lava you captured at the bottom of the sea has given in. Wang Daoyuan took out the Xian Xian cauldron. Xian Xian quickly showed off. Master, I tortured this guy for a long time. He finally gave in. Please decide what to do with him. This guy has great potential. He'll be very useful in the future. Since he's willing to join us, we'll train him well. Take him out. I'll see if he's sincere. Master, what if he runs away? It doesn't matter. I can take him down when I'm at the peak of Yuanying. Now that I've reached the soul formation stage, I can take him down even if he's in a volcano, let alone on the sea. Then, he activated his domain technique. After the breakthrough, the range of his domain technique had also increased. Now it could cover an area of 1,000 miles. A fiery red lava ball gushed out of the Xianxian cauldron, and then turned into a human shape. After being tortured by the Xianxian cauldron for a long time, there was no lava to replenish his spiritual power. Now the spirit of lava was only 3 meters tall, and was no longer as domineering as before. Wang Daoyuan said with his divine sense, "Are you willing to submit to me?" This spirit of lava had very little contact with humans, and couldn't understand human language before. "Don't bother. I've learned to speak human language from this damn cauldron. I didn't expect you to be so smart. Of course, I'm a naturally born spirit, unlike that damn cauldron, which was created by humans." Seeing that this guy thought so highly of himself, Wang Daoyuan was delighted. It was good that he was willing to communicate. The worst thing was that he was silent. Artificial spirits are not necessarily bad. With the help of Master, they can grow faster. You must have stayed in the lava at the bottom of the sea for more than 10,000 years to grow to your current level. My artifact spirit was born less than 100 years ago and is now sleeping. When they wake up, they will be level 6 artifact spirits and be stronger than you. As long as they are not too far away from the artifact, they will have endless power. After you leave the lava, you will be weak. The spirit of lava was not convinced, but he did not continue to argue. Are you willing to submit or not? If you are, take me as your master and cultivate in my personal mystic realm. It won't take long for you to break through to level 6. If you don't agree, I won't keep a threat by my side. A naturally born spirit should be the best tonic for an artifact spirit. The Xianxian is drooling over you. Hearing this, the spirit of lava was a little conflicted. No matter what, it was a naturally born spirit. It would be too embarrassing to submit like this. But if it didn't submit, it would be devoured. I can submit, but you have to show me what you're capable of. You didn't catch me with your true ability. If you can defeat me head-on, I can submit to you. Okay, you go first. The spirit of lava did not attack Wang Daoyuan. Instead, he turned around and dove into the sea. The Xianxian was a little anxious and wanted to control the Xianxian cauldron to chase after him. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. Don't worry. He doesn't have much spirit energy left. There is no way he can escape. 2 breaths later, a ball of water floated out of the sea. The spirit of lava was wrapped inside. Wang Daoyuan summoned Yinglong. Since you are not willing to submit, there is no need for me to keep you. Yinglong dove into the ball of water and bound the spirit of lava. The Xianxian cauldron also pressed down on him. The spirit of lava begged for mercy. I am willing to submit. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand, and Yinglong flew over with the spirit of lava. I have many experts under me. It doesn't matter if you have one or not. Don't think too highly of yourself. If you continue to play tricks, the Xianxian won't be the only one who wants to eat you. You've seen my winged dragon avatar before. Even the artifact spirit of a mighty figure's artifact admitted defeat. What can you do? I will use the master recognition technique on you. This is your last chance to live. If you resist and cause the master recognition technique to fail, it will be too late for you to beg for mercy. There were many similarities between the master recognition technique and the master recognition technique of the spirit of nature. After all, the ancestors of the demon beasts were all ancient mutated beasts. These ancient mutated beasts were basically born and bred by heaven and earth. They were also considered spirits of nature. The Valley of Beasts had a huge inheritance system and was involved in all aspects. However, when it started, it was still mainly beast taming. Naturally, there was no lack of methods to recognize a master. The methods to control spirit beasts and spirits of nature could be called the spirit manipulation technique. The spirit manipulation technique was an extremely huge inheritance system. The methods to control spirit beasts and spirits were different. The method Wang Daoyuan used was the spirit manipulation technique left behind by the founder of the Valley of Beasts, the divine beast Venerable. He forced out a drop of blood essence and integrated a wisp of divine consciousness into it. Then, he controlled the blood essence and drew complicated inscriptions out of thin air. He had never used such a profound method to make the spirit of beasts recognize a master before. It took him an hour to draw out all the ownership recognition inscriptions. The spirit of lava was still a little unconvinced and wanted to struggle. Wang Daoyuan snorted coldly. You can resist. If you fail, you will die. After saying that, he began to use the spirit manipulation technique. The inscriptions condensed from the blood essence and divine consciousness were integrated into the spirit of lava's spirit. Spirits of nature and weapon spirits were unformed spirit clans. They had something similar to a spirit, but they did not have a spirit essence. They could not be called spirits. This fellow looked unwilling, but it did not dare to resist. After 15 minutes, the inscriptions merged with its spirit. Chapter 1009. After recognizing him as its master, Wang Daoyuan made the lava spirit cry out in pain. What did you do to me? With that, his body glowed brightly, and he was about to spit out flames. Wang Daoyuan used the spirit control technique again, but his technique was interrupted. The secret technique I used on you is a type of spirit control technique. As long as I think about it, no matter where you run, you will be in so much pain that you wish you were dead. If I want you to die, it will be easy. He then summoned a wisp of scarlet yang primordial flame. I have countless tier 6 spirit flames. As long as you are obedient, your cultivation speed will not be any slower than the setting sun abyss. In the future, you will have a chance to become a true spirit race individual. If you play any tricks, you will not only be eaten by Xian. Spirit race? The lava spirit was confused. Xian explained. Weapon spirits like us and nature spirits like you are not complete life forms. But we can go one step further and become a real life form. When the Qianyuan world was first formed, it was barren everywhere, and there were no life forms. Later on, a group of spirit race was naturally born, and many of them had the strength of an earth immortal when they were born. Some of these spirit race gradually died out, while others left behind their bloodlines. The one pestering you now is one of the strongest spirit race back then, Yinglong. The top 5 elements divine beasts are all descendants of Yinglong. Not only is he strong, but he is also favored by the Qianyuan world's providence. Our master is able to control Yinglong, so he must be a person with great providence. It is not impossible for him to become an earth immortal in the future. We help our master to conquer the world, and we can also obtain some of his providence and become a real spirit race, an existence like the ancient mutated beasts. Now that the Qianyuan world is not as good as before, it is very difficult to give birth to another spirit race. This is the north of the decimating heaven abyss, and the spirit chi is gradually drying up. We have no hope of becoming a real spirit race. In the future, the spirit veins in the sunset abyss will also gradually dry up, and when the spirit chi in the lava drops below level 5, you will slowly die. The spirit of lava fell into deep thought. He had stayed in the sunset abyss for many years, and naturally knew that the spirit energy in the spirit vein had been decreasing slowly. He had always wanted to find a way to survive, but he was a lava spirit born at the bottom of the sea. The spiritual energy in other places was even weaker than in the setting sun abyss, so he didn't know where to go. A nature spirit was not like an artifact spirit. As long as the artifact was not destroyed, even if it fell below the 5th grade, the artifact spirit would only be in a deep slumber. There was still a chance for it to wake up in the future. Once a nature spirit couldn't find a level 5 spiritual energy, it would slowly wither away and wouldn't have the chance to hibernate. I can follow you, but I don't want to be tied down. In your dreams, you have to take care of whoever's bowl. If you want to benefit from me, you have to be obedient. Your wild nature is hard to tame. If I don't use the imperial spirit technique to restrain you, when it's time to use you, you'll retaliate, and I won't have a place to cry. There's nothing wrong with me. If you're obedient, why would I torture you? Besides, I don't want to torture anyone. If you don't listen, I'll let Yinglong and the Xian eat you. The lava spirit felt a little wronged, but it had no choice but to listen obediently when it met someone who was strong and unreasonable. Since you've submitted to me, you have to have a name. I'll call you Spirited Flame from now on. Cultivate well in my secret realm, and it's only a matter of time before you reach the 6th grade. Then, He put the Xianxian cauldron and spirited flame into the space of the spiritual pearl. Zhou asked, "Are we going to the Rare Treasures Island next? I heard that there are countless blood corals there. I want to take a look." That's the foothold of the blood shark's attack on the 7 big islands. It's also the focus of the battle between the two sides. There should be many soul formation cultivators there. If we go there rashly, we can only fight with the blood shark. The entire Sea of 7 Stars is in a mess. There's no place to stay. We'll go to the Fire Lotus Island at the northernmost part of the Demon Islands. That's the important trade point between the Sea of 7 Stars and the Demon Islands. Usually, many itinerant cultivators who couldn't survive in the Sea of 7 Stars came here to make a living. Now the Sea of 7 Stars was fighting on the Rare Treasures Island, which was an important trade point. The itinerant cultivators on the island wouldn't just sit there and wait for death. They would definitely flee in all directions. Both sides would not provoke the myriad demons archipelago. Therefore, many itinerant cultivators fled to the Fire Lotus Island. We should be able to find out what happened on the Rare Treasures Island if we go there and ask around. The two of them boarded Lei Peng's flying boat and released their clones, Liao Yang and Chen Jiaoyi, to control the flying boat and record the specific situation of the islands and the sea along the way. Shadow Lord, we'll fly from the edge of the Sea of 7 Stars, along the western edge of the Sea of 7 Stars, to the Demon Islands a few million miles south of the Sea of 7 Stars. Even if there are no demon beasts to disturb us, we'll still have to fly for more than half a month. We can't delay our cultivation. Before Zhou Luan could say anything, he carried her into the bedroom. The flying boat had been flying a few million miles west of the Sea of 7 Stars, but they didn't encounter any itinerant cultivators. Half a month later, Wang Daoyuan felt that the spiritual aura had become somewhat violent. Zhou Wan's cultivation level was slightly lower, but she was still a late-stage Yuanian cultivator after all. She was also awakened by the violent spiritual aura. "Daoyuan, have we reached the Demon Islands? We shouldn't be far away, but there's still enough time. Why don't we hurry up and..." Zhou Wan pinched his waist. "Get up. Don't delay our business. I just remembered that you were lying on my chest." "I couldn't get up." Zhou Wan waved her hand, and a fiery red dress flew over. A red light flashed. Zhou Wan had already put on her clothes and was sitting in front of the dressing mirror. "Why did you put on your clothes so quickly?" After saying that, she also got up and put on her clothes. The two of them changed to an ordinary flying boat and suppressed their cultivation level to the late-stage Yuaniing. A few days later, they landed in a market square in the north of the Fire Lotus Island. As soon as the two of them landed, a young golden core cultivator immediately approached them. "Seniors, I've lived here for dozens of years and know the Fire Lotus Island very well. What do you want to buy? I can help you." This was the broker here, but he was just an amateur. The young man in front of them had a fiery aura and a medicinal fragrance. He should be an alchemist. Alchemists and blacksmiths, who weren't very skilled, would come out to find something to do and earn some cultivation resources when they were nurturing medicinal pills and magic tools. "No need. When I lived on this island, you probably hadn't formed your core yet." The young man was somewhat embarrassed. "I was too rash." After he left, Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "This Fire Lotus Island is much more lively than before. 100 years ago, there were very few cultivators here. Now the number has increased by at least 4 or 5 times. When the 7 Stars Alliance and Blood Shark started fighting, many cultivators ran here to take refuge. I wonder if the small courtyard I bought back then has been sold." The two of them walked towards the southeast corner of the market square. Soon they arrived near the courtyard they bought. Back then, this courtyard was in the southeast corner of the market square. There were no other buildings around it. Now the market square extended more than 10 miles into the depths of the island. This courtyard could be considered to be in the downtown area. His doppelganger rummaged through the space in the spiritual pearl for a long time before finding the formation token of this courtyard. Wang Daoyuan tested it with the token. As expected, the defensive formation of the courtyard was turned off. It seems like the manager of this market square isn't completely evil. After not coming here for so many years, he still hasn't taken away my courtyard. Let's go in. At this moment, a mid-stage Yuanian cultivator at the entrance of the courtyard next door shouted, "Are you Wu Chuan Daoyu?" Wang Daoyuan turned around. It was a familiar face. This person was Li Chen, the one who went out to sea to hunt demonic beasts when they first came to Rare Treasures Island. 100 years ago, we parted ways on Rare Treasures Island. I didn't expect to meet Brother Li here. It's really you. I heard that you were hunted down by the Huang family. I was too weak to help you. I was worried about you. I didn't expect you to be fine. You even reached the late stage Yuanying. Don't mention it. I was hunted down by Master Huang and hid in the myriad demon islands for nearly 100 years. Why did Brother Li come to this Fire Lotus Island? The Huang family wouldn't go so far as to hunt you down, right? That's not it. The Huang family doesn't have the time to care about me. After you left, I still hunted demonic beasts on Rare Treasures Island like before. However, Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance started a war, and the rogue cultivators all fled. Naturally, I didn't dare to continue staying on Rare Treasures Island. So I took a flying boat to the myriad demon islands with Daoyu. After traveling for a few years, I felt that Fire Lotus Island was the most suitable place to stay. I've already lived here for more than 10 years. May I know who this Daoyu is? This is my Dao companion. Let's not talk about this first. I've been wandering around the myriad demon islands all these years. I don't know much about the Sea of Seven Stars. I wanted to take revenge on Rare Treasures Island, but I heard that Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance started a war. I was just about to find someone to ask about it. Brother Li, you've been staying on Rare Treasures Island all year round. Do you know the inside story? I know a little, but not much. It's good that you know a little. Let's talk inside. Then, he opened the door of the courtyard. The courtyard hadn't been cleaned for 100 years and was covered in dust. He waved his hand and cast an immaculate art. The entire courtyard became clean and tidy. The three sat down in the room. Li Chen smiled and said, "This matter is spreading like wildfire outside. Some say that it's a fight for treasure. Some say that a large-scale secret realm has been discovered on Rare Treasures Island, comparable to the Seven Stars secret realm. Some say that the Imperial Wind Sovereign, the sect master of the Imperial Regency, has returned and has broken through the Great Ascension realm. There are many such rumors, but most of them have no basis. However, the discovery of a large-scale secret realm might be true. A few years before Blood Shark attacked, there were many earthquakes in the deep sea south of Rare Treasures Island. However, as soon as the earthquake appeared, the Seven Stars Alliance and the Blood Shark pirates sealed off the sea region, making it impossible for others to enter. I'm not sure what good things have appeared. At that time, there were rumors that there were strong spatial fluctuations at the bottom of the sea. Maybe a new secret realm has appeared. That's not right. If there were signs a few years ago, the Seven Stars Alliance wouldn't be so unprepared. Although the two sides maintain a balance, the Seven Stars Alliance is stronger. If they were prepared, Blood Shark wouldn't have been able to take Rare Treasures Island. There's something fishy about this matter. I'm not sure. However, a few days before Blood Shark attacked, a strange phenomenon occurred in one of Blood Shark's businesses on Rare Treasures Island. A 300-meter-long golden monster, Kirin, with a purple glow on its body, soared into the sky from the shop. The purple and golden light emitted by Kirin covered an area of 30 to 40 kilometers. Yuanian cultivators could see this scene from thousands of kilometers away. The Kirin hovered above the shop for a dozen breaths of time, before slowly disappearing. A rare treasure has appeared on Rare Treasures Island. In order to seize it, Blood Shark didn't hesitate to start a war with the Seven Stars Alliance. This was the reason for the rumors. I've seen this strange Kirin with my own eyes. However, I'm ignorant and don't know what this strange Kirin is, or where it came from. Chapter 10:10. The Kirin clan was rare, and they didn't have a huge appetite like the Dragon clan. Therefore, the Kirin bloodline was extremely rare. Wang Daoyuan had traveled around for hundreds of years, but he had never seen a living Kirin bloodline. He had only seen Dharma artifacts made from Kirin's corpse. Gu Qingfeng's natal Dharma artifact was made from the bones of the yellow-maned Kirin. He also had a beast soul talisman made from the yellow-maned Kirin's soul. Although the spirit veins in the Sea of Seven Stars were of a higher grade, there were still very few legends about Kirin. The strange Kirin that Brotherly mentioned should be some kind of monster with Kirin's bloodline. After all, there are no level 7 spirit veins in the Sea of Seven Stars, so it's impossible for a real Kirin divine beast to appear. It's not a big deal for a monster with Kirin's bloodline to look strange. Wu brothers, you must be joking. I'm a rogue cultivator and I don't know much. But as a Yuanian cultivator, I can still tell the strength of a monster's aura. I've seen the Blood Shark and the Soul Formation cultivators of the Seven Stars Alliance. This strange Kirin's aura is much stronger than a normal half-divine beast. Even the Soul Formation cultivators I've seen are not as strong as this strange Kirin. Hearing that, Wang Daoyuan felt a little strange. Generally speaking, the strength of a monster with a divine beast's bloodline mainly depended on the purity of the divine beast's bloodline. If this strange Kirin was only a monster with Kirin's bloodline, and was stronger than a normal half-divine beast, then its bloodline should be pure. Then his Qilin bloodline should be relatively pure, and his appearance should be similar to a real Qilin, so it shouldn't be too strange. I'm a bit curious. What does this Kirin look like that Brotherly calls it a strange Kirin? This strange Kirin looks very strange. It's half dragon and half Kirin. Its torso is similar to a legendary Kirin, and it also has 4 hooves. But a normal Kirin's tail isn't long, and has a long mane. This strange Kirin's tail is thick and long, more like a dragon's tail. Its neck is also much longer than a Kirin's, and its head is smaller than a Kirin's head. Dragon horns and Kirin's, but there are differences. Kirin's horns. But this strange Kirin's horns have 2 horns. Have horns. Longs. The strange Qilin's horns were extremely long. If one were to compare the size of its head, it would be even longer than the average dragon's horns. Have 9 Kirin's. Kirin. S have Kirin. S Kirin's Kirin. S Kirin. S. Wings. Sis, the wings weren't big, and they were always curled up. If one didn't look carefully, it would be hard to notice. I wasn't far away at that time, so I saw it very clearly. This Kirin was indeed strange. It had the characteristics of a dragon, a phoenix, and a Kirin at the same time. The older the dragon race is, the longer their dragon horns will be. They will also grow some small forks. The characteristics of the strange Kirin horns are indeed similar to those of the dragon clan. It might have some dragon clan bloodline. That's possible. At that time, I did feel that Kirin's aura was a bit like a dragon's. However, this dragon might is extremely strong. It's not something that ordinary dragons can compare to. Is that strange Kirin a living demonic beast? Or is it an illusion? I can't say for sure. Even if it's a spell from a deity transformation cultivator, it's impossible for it to have such a powerful aura. Moreover, the strange Kirin was extremely agile, and could not be imitated by magic. However, it was unlikely that it was a living creature. With the appearance of such a powerful demonic beast, the surrounding shops and houses had long been destroyed. It's no wonder that after the Kirin appeared, the nearby buildings were not damaged at all. I also heard that no cultivators were injured. After saying this, he looked at Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan and said with a smile, Wu brothers and sister-in-law have just arrived, so I won't disturb you. I'm just an itinerant cultivator, so this is all I know. Goodbye. Wang Daoyuan walked him to the door, and then activated the formation. Moreover, he checked every corner of the courtyard to make sure that no one had left any tricks behind. One must always be on guard against others. Blood Shark already knew that Wu Chuan was Zhou Ming. If he was willing to spend a lot of effort to investigate, he might be able to find the Fire Lotus Island. After a thorough search, he didn't find any problems. After returning to the room, Zhou Wan was a bit puzzled. What is this strange Kirin that Li Qin mentioned? It's impossible for that strange Kirin to be a mixed-blood divine beast. After all, mixed-blood divine beasts aren't strong to begin with. They're even weaker than a half-divine beast. Those half-divine beasts have the bloodlines of divine beasts and ordinary demonic beasts. The bloodlines of ordinary demonic beasts naturally can't be compared to those of divine beasts. Therefore, the divine beast bloodlines of half-divine beasts have an absolute advantage. Even if the concentration of divine beast bloodlines is low, they can still display the obvious characteristics of divine beasts. However, if one has two types of divine beast bloodlines at the same time, both bloodlines won't be able to gain the upper hand. If the bloodline advantage can't be used, the mixed blood divine beast will usually be very weak. If one has the characteristics of a dragon and a phoenix Kirin at the same time, it's even harder to produce an expert with three types of divine beast bloodlines. In the ancient records of Blood Shadow, there are no records of powerful mixed blood divine beasts. In the records of the Valley of Beasts, are there any records of mixed blood experts with three types of divine beasts? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. When two types of bloodlines are mixed, there's a very small chance of producing an extremely powerful offspring. The records of the Valley of Beasts have recorded such divine beasts. However, there are no records of mixed blood descendants with three types of divine beasts. This definitely isn't a mixed blood of a dragon and a phoenix Kirin. I think I can guess what this mixed blood divine beast is. What is it? This is Kenma. It's related to the dragon and the phoenix Kirin at the same time, but it's not a mixed blood divine beast. In the ancient records of Blood Shadow, there's no mention of this divine beast. What is it? Kenma is the son of Yinglong. Yinglong gave birth to Kenma, and Kenma gave birth to Kirin. Its appearance should be between Yinglong and Kirin. Looking at it this way, the strange Kirin that Li Qin mentioned isn't so strange. Kenma is the same as Yinglong. There's only one of them in the world. Although it created the Kirin race, it quickly disappeared. According to Li Qin, that thing suddenly appeared and disappeared without leaving a trace. It shouldn't have a physical body. Kenma is an ancient divine beast, and it's not very famous. Even Blood Shadow doesn't know about Kenma. The inheritance of the Sea of Seven Stars isn't as good as Beiyuan's, so they shouldn't know about this divine beast. That strange Kirin shouldn't be anyone's magic. It might really be a treasure from ancient times. Wang Daoyuan pondered for a long time, then said, "There's another possibility. This Kenma is someone's purple mansion anomaly. There are very few legends about Kenma, and there's never been any mention of the purple light. Yinglong and Kirin don't have any means related to the purple light, so Kenma shouldn't have it either." Also, Li Chun said that this Kenma is extremely intelligent. Magic tools and spells imitate the divine beast's form. Even if it's just a copy, it will appear to have form but no spirit. As the son of Yinglong and the ancestor of the five divine beasts, Kenma's luck isn't low. If a cultivator uses a spell in the form of Yinglong, it's very easy for them to suffer a backlash. Kenma might also have this characteristic, so it shouldn't be a spell. There's only one Kenma in the world, and it disappeared during the ancient times. It can't be his soul. It's very intelligent and not a soul, so it's most likely a purple mansion anomaly. The golden light that appeared in Kenma covered the purple light when the purple mansion was opened, so no one thought of this. Why would a purple mansion anomaly cause such a huge commotion? Have you forgotten about Ming Ren and Ming Xian? Their purple mansion anomaly stunned the entire Qingli city. How can that be the same? Ming Ren and Ming Xian are my children. Also, you're the son of Providence. They're your children, so they should have some luck. It's normal for them to be better than ordinary people. But there's more than one son of Providence. You're saying that this Kenma was born when a son of Providence opened his purple mansion, and that a son of Providence appeared in Blood Shark? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Li Chun said that a few years before the war, the southern sea of Rare Treasures Island trembled, and there were spatial fluctuations. It's very likely that a mystic realm appeared. The two families didn't start a war because of this. Instead, they cooperated and sealed off the news. A few days after Kenma appeared, Blood Shark suddenly attacked. It's clear that Kenma's value is even higher than a mystic realm. Although the Imperial Regency doesn't have a deep foundation, it still has a lot of inheritance from Xinlian School. In the history of Xinlian School, more than one powerful person has appeared, so there must be a lot of records about the Son of Providence. It's not strange that Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance know about the Son of Providence. I'm guessing that this son of Providence wasn't valued by Blood Shark before, and was casually thrown on Rare Treasures Island. In the end, he opened his purple mansion and caused a huge commotion. Perhaps he was worried that the Seven Stars Alliance would find out about the Son of Providence, so he acted first. He could keep the secret of the Son of Providence and take the mystic realm that might exist for himself. In any case, the two sides will fight sooner or later. If he takes the initiative, he might have a better chance of winning. That makes sense. He really might be the Son of Providence. But I don't understand. You're also a Son of Providence, but you're already a soul formation cultivator. Why did the Son of Providence of the Sea of Seven Stars only open his purple mansion? Also, you're also a Son of Providence, but your avatar is Yinglong. Why is his avatar Kinma so coincidentally? Could it be that you're going easy on him behind my back? Wang Daoyuan was speechless that he could connect all these things together. What's the relationship between the two? That five elements divine beast is Yinglong's grandchild and Mingchen's son? Kinma is definitely not as good as Yinglong. His cultivation level is also lower than mine. Isn't this Son of Providence delivering food to me? Could it be that the strength of a Son of Providence is related to the place of birth? Forget it. I won't think about it if I can't figure it out. Maybe there's no Son of Providence here. Or maybe there's someone else. Kinma showed up this time because he dug up some ancient treasure. Don't be careless. Your purple mansion avatar was originally a five elements divine beast. It only turned into Yinglong after you broke through to Yuanying. This person's Kinma avatar only looks like he just opened his purple mansion. Maybe he'll be able to advance to the nascent soul stage in the future. What should we do next? Should we get involved in the war between the two clans? Or should we just stay here and watch the show? Wang Daoyuan took out a level 5 magic artifact, a carved wooden bed, from his spiritual pearl space. He smiled and said, "Of course we're going to work hard and cultivate." Zhou Wan spat lightly. "I'm serious. How are we going to deal with the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark? If there's really a Son of Providence, and he's allowed to grow, you'll be in danger. There's no rush to get involved in this matter for now. A Son of Providence isn't omnipotent. Blood Shark's overall strength is on the weaker side. It'll be difficult for them to win in a short period of time. We can use this time to move some of our clansmen here and establish a branch of the Chamber of Commerce to expand our strength. After we've gained a firm foothold, we'll think of a way to stir up the conflict between the two clans." Chapter 10-11. Even with the Wen clan's size, they didn't dare to interfere in the fight between the two major forces. Whoever dared to stir up trouble might be destroyed by the two forces. No one could get a share of the loot before they were tired. Zhou Wan nodded and asked again, "What should we do now?" Fire Lotus Island is also an important hub for trade. All kinds of materials from the Sea of Seven Stars and the Demon Islands can be found here. In addition, the Sea of Seven Stars is fighting, and a large number of itinerant cultivators have gathered here. It's too risky to go to the Sea of Seven Stars to do business. The Demon Islands itself isn't peaceful. A place like Fire Lotus Island that's big enough and doesn't have any power is naturally popular. There are definitely a lot of people who come here to sell their treasures. The Wen clan isn't done yet, so it's not good for us to return to Beiyuan. Let's do some business here first, and buy some refining materials. Beiyuan had only recovered level 5 spirit chi for a few decades, and the main spirit vein in the Sky/Mountain range was close to level 5 mid-grade. However, there were still very few level 5 refining materials and level 5 spirit herbs. Wang Daoyuan only knew of the Bloodfire Mulberry tree in the Divine Weapon Pavilion's Treasure Cauldron Mountain. That tree had a history of more than 100,000 years and was originally a high-level spirit plant. With the nourishment of level 5 spirit chi, it could naturally grow to level 5 quickly. Most of the spirit wood and spirit herbs hadn't grown to level 5 yet. Not to mention the metal-type refining materials, it would probably take 200 to 300 years for them to advance. It was different in the Sea of Seven Stars. Level 5 mid-grade refining materials were very common on the market. Level 5 high-grade, or peak-level materials required more effort. Zhou Wan asked, Level 5 magic artifacts and pills take too long. It's good enough to produce one furnace a year. It's too slow to rely on this to earn spirit stones. To open a large store and buy from individual investors, it requires a lot of spirit stones. We can't build a foundation here, and we'll leave soon. It's impossible to spend a lot of effort to open a store here. Don't worry, Lord Shadow Master. I have quite a few level 5 magic tools and medicinal pills in my possession. The doppelganger Shui Quan was now a Tier 5 upper grade weapon refiner. Using Tier 4 upper grade weapon refiner materials to refine a Tier 5 lower grade defensive magic tool was a simple matter. There was also the Avatar Mou, who was a rank 5 alchemist. After learning the alchemy techniques of the human race in the secret realm, he was already a 5th order high-grade alchemist. The success rate of the 9 Death Soul returning pill and the nascent cultivating pill had already exceeded 50%. They haven't been idle these past few years. How many low-grade 5th-tier defensive artifacts and 5th-tier medicinal pills can they sell for? Right now, the best way to make money was to refine pills and forge weapons, which were done by his clones. Since Wang Daoyuan could earn money by lying down, he was naturally too lazy to do it himself. Those soul demon avatars had some attainments in array formations, and now they had learned how to craft talismans. The spirit demon's soul was extremely powerful, and he learned these things very quickly. He was already a 4th-rank low-grade talisman master. With so many good things, let's quickly go out and exchange them for spirit stones. There's no hurry. The enemies we'll face in the future may be Blood Shark and the late soul formation cultivators of the 7 Stars Alliance. Although my strength is far superior to early soul formation cultivators like Moon Sung Cheon, late soul formation cultivators have already touched the threshold of the Great Ascension stage. I don't know how strong they are either. If we really fight them, I don't have the confidence to win. You won't be able to help against soul formation cultivators. The most important thing now is to increase our cultivation as soon as possible. We still have to hurry up and cultivate the yin-yang art. The sooner you break through to soul formation, the more confident we will be, right? This carved bed is a Tier 5 magic tool that I spent a lot of effort to refine. It would be a pity if we don't use it. After living in this small courtyard for more than a month, Li Chen came to visit again. Wang Daoyuan invited him into the room and asked, "Brother Li, what's the matter?" "I'm here to ask for a favor." "Wu brothers, you know that I'm not proficient in all the arts of cultivation. Usually, I rely on hunting demon beasts to earn cultivation resources. Ever since I settled down on the Fire Lotus Island, I found a few other rogue cultivators from the Rare Treasures Island and went out to sea to hunt. It's just that we don't have enough manpower, and the demon beasts here are quite fierce. Usually, we can only try our luck near the island. When we were on the Rare Treasures Island, you were also in the early Yuanying stage, and your strength was far above mine. Now that you're in the late Yuanying stage, I'm afraid that demon beasts below the Tier 6 are no match for you. If you can join our hunting team, we can also go deep into the sea and hunt some stronger demon beasts." Wang Daoyuan really didn't want to do the work of hunting demon beasts. With the space in the spiritual pearl in his clone, he didn't lack spirit stones at all. As a soul formation cultivator, it would be embarrassing if word got out that he had to rely on hunting demon beasts for a living. Besides, he had a lot of demon beast corpses. He had killed some Tier 5 demon beasts in the Sunset Abyss and Zhouwan, and his clone had also killed some during the soul formation heavenly tribulation. To tell you the truth, Brother Li, I've improved my alchemy and artifact forging skills. I don't plan on going out to sea to hunt demon beasts anymore. Brother Li, I can buy all the demon beast corpses, artifact forging materials, spirit herbs, and the like. If you need pills or artifacts, I can also sell them at a discount. Li Chen's face lit up. Really? To tell you the truth, Brother Wu, it's not easy for us to go out to sea to hunt demon beasts. Especially now that there are more and more rogue cultivators escaping here. There are more and more cultivators hunting demon beasts. For a hunting team like us who don't dare to go deep into the sea, the demon beasts we hunt are too ordinary and can't be sold for a good price. There are a lot of rogue cultivators, and most of them make a living by hunting demon beasts. The demand for artifacts and pills is very high and the price is getting higher and higher. As early and middle Yuanian cultivators, we don't have much left from hunting demon beasts other than buying pills and artifacts. If Brother Wu can buy demon beast corpses and sell artifacts and pills, that would be great. That's a good thing. I want to buy demon beast corpses and sell artifacts, but I'm too lazy to open a shop. It's great that Brother Li can come to trade. I'll buy demon beast corpses according to the normal price here. I'll buy as many demon beasts as Brother Li brings. I'll sell all the pills and artifacts to Brother Li at a 20% discount. If you want to order a magic artifact, you just need to give me the forging method. I've also saved a lot of magic artifacts and pills over the years. I'd like to ask Brother Li to introduce some other Daoyu to do business. If you have materials of tier 5 or tier 6, I can buy them at a high price. I'll do as Brother Wu says. I'll go tell the other brothers this good news. Saying this, he ran out of the house. Wang Daoyuan sighed. What a pity. I'll be busy doing business in the future, and won't have much time to cultivate with Lord Shadow Lord. Zhou Wan's face reddened. Who told you to cultivate with me? That's not what you said when we were cultivating. Let's hurry up and cultivate a bit more. Just as he was about to make a move, he suddenly felt some movement in his dantian. He looked inside himself, and found that the 5 life-bound magic artifacts in his dantian were all shaking slightly. There was also something similar to a spiritual sense fluctuation. Wang Daoyuan sighed softly. These magic artifacts are really something. The artifact spirit should have taken shape earlier, but it just had to take shape now. It's delaying my cultivation. The artifact spirit has taken shape? Quickly take it out and let me see. I also want to cultivate an artifact spirit, but I don't have a suitable method. Wang Daoyuan took out the 5 life-bound magic artifacts. Now, the magic artifacts didn't need to be activated by his spiritual power, and they were already shining with dazzling light. Judging from the spiritual power fluctuations, these 5 magic artifacts had already broken through to the 6th level. When an artifact spirit took shape, it would absorb all the patterns condensed from spiritual power in the magic artifact. From then on, the artifact spirit and the magic artifact were completely integrated into one. The artifact spirit also had the magic artifact's functions. Wang Daoyuan gently waved his hand. An array of light flew out from each of the 5 magic artifacts. The 5 rays of light respectively turned into the 5 divine beasts of the 5 elements. However, they weren't very big. The Azure Dragon was only 3 feet long, and the other 4 artifact spirits were about the same size. Wang Daoyuan understood their minds, and didn't need them to speak to know their situation. These 5 fellows had just taken shape, and their intelligence was about the same as newborn babies. They couldn't speak, and didn't know much about the outside world. Most artifact spirits were like this when they were just born. The more they experienced in the future, the more they would slowly grow like humans. For example, Ancestor Myriad Spirits, Ancestor Yin Yang, Ancestor Ling Long. They had experienced hundreds of thousands of years, and many generations of masters, before they grew to their current level. They had a natural closeness to Wang Daoyuan and surrounded him. Although their intelligence wasn't high, their effects weren't low. They could increase the power of magic artifacts by several times. Zhou Wan looked very envious. Daoyuan, give me an artifact spirit to play with. Wang Daoyuan controlled the vermilion bird artifact spirit, and let it fly to Zhou Wan's side. Zhou Wan had the Scarlet Luan bloodline, so she was relatively close to the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird stopped on her shoulder, and rubbed its head against her face. Daoyuan, I also want to learn your 3 treasures tool nurturing technique. This artifact spirit is too fun. It's not difficult. There are still many things left to cultivate the 3 treasures tool nurturing technique. However, it will take a long time to nurture it. I can't help you with this. It's okay. It can be nurtured. My Scarlet Luan Flowing Flame sword has been improved many times, and its power isn't weak. However, it will take at least 4 or 5 years to nurture an artifact spirit. Your 3 treasures tool nurturing technique is faster. Although it consumes more spiritual power, it's not good to have you. Alright. Give me the current refining method of the Scarlet Luan Flowing Flame Sword. The artifact spirit of the Three Treasures tool nurturing technique needs to be more compatible with the artifact. It will be more convenient to fuse with it in the future. Zhou Luan took out a few pieces of beast parchment. It's all here. Although the Scarlet Luan Flowing Flames sword was already a high-grade 5th stage artifact, its pattern was relatively simple among artifacts of the same stage. This way, it would be easier to inscribe inscriptions. After Wang Daoyuan looked through it, he took out a 3-inch high-grade 5th stage fire essence from the Spirit Pearl's space. This was the medium for nurturing an artifact spirit. It needed to be inscribed with many inscriptions. These inscriptions were similar to pill, tool, and talisman array inscriptions, but they were not exactly the same. They were law inscriptions. Law inscriptions were the manifestation of laws. Pill, tool, and talisman array inscriptions were all evolved from law inscriptions. Just these inscriptions alone could replace pill, tool, and talisman array inscriptions. However, law inscriptions were broad but not refined. They could do anything, but they were not proficient in anything. In terms of refining artifacts, their effects were inferior to tool patterns. Otherwise, there would be no need to separate pill, tool, and talisman array inscriptions. Only in the puppet core and the flying warship's spiritual power conversion device, where tool patterns were not up to the task, would law inscriptions be used. In order to master law inscriptions, one's divine sense had to be very high. One needed to be at least in the soul formation stage. Wang Daoyuan's divine sense stage was enough. However, he had been busy accompanying Zhou Luan to cultivate, and did not have the time to comprehend these things. Chapter 10-12. The Three Treasures Tool Nurturing Technique used a large number of nomological inscriptions. Now that he was refining the tool's spirit carrier, he could spend some time learning about nomological inscriptions. The Valley of Beasts had produced many almighty figures, so there were naturally such inheritances. Wang Daoyuan flipped through the inheritance of nomological inscriptions and comprehended the nomological inscriptions according to the contents of the inheritance. Back then, perfected Lei Yan had said that there was a rumor in the ancient times that if one understood all 4 paths, they could see the great Tao. If he didn't understand all 4 paths, it would be a bit strenuous to learn these nomological inscriptions. Wang Daoyuan's alchemy, smithing, and talisman arrays had all reached the upper grade of the 5th level. He was also a cultivator with 5 spiritual roots, and had grasped the laws of the 5 elements. The most commonly used nomological inscriptions were the laws of the 5 elements. With these foundations, it was very easy to grasp the basic nomological inscriptions. The last time he refined 5 tool spirit carriers, it only took half a year. This time, he only refined 1, but it took him an entire year. This year wasn't wasted. He had more or less comprehended all the nomological inscriptions in the Three Treasures tool nurturing technique. After comprehending the commonly used nomological inscriptions, he could spend some time to modify the spiritual power conversion device of the flying ship. The structure of this thing was too complicated. The time spent refining a flying warship, from the core to the outer shell, couldn't even compare to a spiritual power conversion device. This thing needed spiritual power to carry the power of laws. Alchemy, smithing, and talisman array inscriptions couldn't have this function, so he could only use nomological inscriptions. When he had time in the future, he could fully comprehend all the inscriptions on the spiritual power conversion device and make some modifications. There were too many ways to modify this thing. After all the spiritual power needed by the flying warship had to go through this device. He could try to save spiritual power or increase the speed. After refining the tool spirit carrier, Wang Daoyuan left the refining room and went to the bedroom. Lord Shadow Master, the tool spirit carrier has been refined. Next, you have to use your essence, energy, and spirit to fill the carrier. After that, you have to fuse your understanding of the laws and the divine charm of the Scarlet Luan into it. When the carrier turns into a ball of energy, this energy will be the embryonic form of the tool spirit. Next, you have to absorb it into the Purple Mansion phenomenon and Dharma artifacts to nurture it. When it becomes a true tool spirit, that will depend on your ability. Zhou Wan took the artifact spirit carrier and began to inject energy into it. Wang Daoyuan was a little unhappy. I've been working hard for a year. Aren't there any rewards? Zhou Wan shot him a glance. Over the past year, I've been the one who's been helping you deal with the demon beast corpses and artifact forging materials, as well as the magical tools and medicinal pills you've bought. I don't even have time to cultivate, and you still have the nerve to ask me for a reward. Lord Shadow Master, you've worked hard. Do you want me to reward you? Just as he was about to make his move, someone knocked on the door. Scanning the area with his divine perception, he discovered that there were 6 people at the entrance. One of them was Li Chun. Although they had ruined his plans, he reluctantly let them off for the sake of the spirit stones. Arriving at the entrance, he cupped his hands towards Daoyu and asked, "Brother Li, why are there so many Daoyu here this time?" Li Chun didn't look around. "Since I promised to introduce business to the Wu brothers, I naturally can't go back on my word." From the looks of it, he had something to say, and was worried about leaking information. Wang Daoyuan immediately understood. "Brother Li and Daoyu, please come inside." The others had lower cultivations, early and mid-stage yuanying, so they naturally didn't dare to put on airs in front of Wang Daoyuan. One of them, a mid-stage yuanying cultivator with a long beard, cupped his hands and said, "Wu Daoyu is too polite. I heard that your wife is in the room. They're all injured, so let's not disturb them. Brother Li and I can go in together. The rest of you can wait at the door." The group of 6 was divided into 2 factions. Li Chun and the long-bearded cultivator were the leaders of the 2 factions. The remaining 4 were all early yuanying cultivators. Judging from their positions, they should be subordinates of Li Chun and the long-bearded cultivator. Usually, Li Chun would come here alone to sell demon beasts and other materials, as well as to purchase magic tools and pills. But now, 6 of them had come, and 4 of them didn't want to come in. Logically speaking, these 4 didn't need to come at all. The 2 leaders could have just come, but they had come, and they were injured. Perhaps Li Chun and the long-bearded cultivator were worried that they would leak the information if he wasn't here. It seemed like they wanted to talk about something important. Wang Daoyuan nodded. "No problem. Daoyu, please come with me." With that, he led the 2 to the east wing of the courtyard. The courtyard's formation was fully activated. "Fellow Taoists, feel free to speak your mind." The 2 of them each took out a jade bottle. Li Chun smiled and said, "This is one of our gains from this trip. Wu brothers, please take a look." Wang Daoyuan took the 2 jade bottles and opened them to take a look. The 2 jade bottles were spatial magic tools. The contents were exactly the same, large amounts of seawater. However, the seawater was different. It contained dense spiritual power. Moreover, the spiritual power wasn't evenly distributed. Some of the seawater's spiritual power was extremely strong, reaching the peak of stage 5. Most of the seawater's spiritual power was around mid-stage stage 4. Most of the seawater nearby had spiritual power of this level. The seawater with 2 different types of spiritual power could coexist instead of fusing with each other. It was like pouring half a basin of hot water into half a basin of cold water. The result should be a basin of warm water. However, the situation in the 2 jade bottles was that the hot water had gathered into a few clumps, while the surrounding water was still cold. The 2 didn't fuse at all. Wang Daoyuan had never seen such a situation before. He hurriedly had his doppelganger flip through the Valley of Beasts' ancient records about water to find a similar situation. Seeing that he had noticed something strange, Li Chun continued, "Chenyin Daoyu and I led 4 early-stage yuanying cultivators into the sea to hunt for demonic beasts. We chased after a demonic beast and chased it into the depths of the sea. That demonic beast hid in a place with an undercurrent. The water in the undercurrent contains dense spiritual power. The demonic beast fled into the source of the undercurrent. We wanted to chase after it, but we discovered that there were several stage 5 demonic beasts inside, including 2 high-stage stage 5 demonic beasts. With the strength of the 6 of us, we weren't a match for those demonic beasts. We discovered that the spiritual power in the undercurrent was extremely dense and wouldn't dissipate. We felt that we could sell it for some spirit stones, so we brought some back. After we came ashore, we discovered that there was something strange about the seawater. There must be a reason for this abnormality. The undercurrent was so strange. There might be some treasure hidden in the source of the undercurrent. We wanted to find a few experts to explore the sea together. The only experts I know are the Wu brothers. Wang Daoyuan nodded. A high stage 5 demonic beast is nothing to me. I can kill it with a wave of my hand. After he finished speaking, he took out a clump of water with dense spiritual power and compressed it with his consciousness and spiritual power. Soon, the clump of water with dense spiritual power was divided into two parts. One part had thinner spiritual power, while the other had denser spiritual power. Wang Daoyuan took out the part with dense spiritual power and continued to compress it. The water was again divided into two parts with different spiritual power. The part with dense spiritual power had already reached the level of a stage 6 spirit spring. This thing is really extraordinary. I can go down with you. There's no need to find other people. I can deal with a dozen stage 5 demonic beasts by myself. You go back and prepare. When you're ready, come find me and we'll go down together. Hearing this, Li Chun and Chen Yin were overjoyed. Chen Yin hurriedly said, "Thank you, Wu Daoyu. The other brothers are injured and need to rest for a period of time. We'll set off in about a month. I plan to buy some magical tools and pills. When we go into the sea, we'll have a better chance." He reported some pills and magical tools. Wang Daoyuan had a lot of these in his hands, so he casually gave them to him. Then the two took the 4 people outside and left together. This business earned them a few thousand high-stage spirit stones. Returning to the main room, Zhou asked, "What were you talking about that was so mysterious that you even opened the soundproof formation in the room?" Wang Daoyuan took out the ball of water and used his spiritual sense and spiritual power to compress it. The water was divided into two parts again. Zhou was stunned. After thinking for a long time, she said, "This is spirit spring water derived from spirit water. After coming into contact with a large amount of ordinary water, it will not directly merge with it. Instead, it will absorb ordinary water and increase its own volume. When the spirit spring water is thin enough and loses its original characteristics, it will completely merge with ordinary water. Before merging, as long as you deliberately compress it, you can squeeze out ordinary water. Where did this seawater come from? If we follow it, we should be able to find the location of the spirit water." Wang Daoyuan was somewhat surprised. "You know this thing. Are you sure?" Zhou had a face full of pride. "Of course. Although the Blood Shadow's martial arts and secret techniques are not strong, they are still in the field of intelligence. In terms of collecting strange stories, the 5 top forces of the past added together could not compare to the Blood Shadow. There are records of the Blood Shadow's records about the spirit water. In the past, one of the ancestors of the Blood Shadow explored the West Sea and encountered the spirit water. Unfortunately, he was obstructed by demonic beasts and could only give up after discovering the spirit water. Later on, the spirit qi in Beiyuan became weaker and weaker. Some of the spirit springs, rivers, lakes, and seas could no longer produce spirit water. At this time, Wang Daoyuan's clone had also flipped through the records about the spirit water. The spirit spring water derived from the spirit water did indeed have similar characteristics. Then it should be correct. The spirit spring water derived from the spirit water already has such dense spirit qi. The real spirit water should be of a higher grade. At the very least, it should be level 6 spirit water. With this thing, there will be an endless supply of level 6 spirit spring water. Even if it is not used to fight enemies, it is still very good to be used to assist cultivation or concoct pills. If placed in a secret realm, it can also be used to water spirit plants. So you are saying that you want to go into the sea again? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Such a good thing. If I don't give it a try, I will not be satisfied. Then I will go with you. The danger here is far less than the setting sun abyss. Even if we are attacked by level 6 demonic beasts, with your strength, you can protect me. I have no objections, but there may be level 6 demonic beasts lurking around the level 6 spirit water. Once we encounter one, I may not be able to protect you from the bottom of the sea. The space here is stable, and there are no spatial cracks for you to hide in. I have my own means of self-protection. Even if I encounter a level 6 demonic beast, I will not be easily taken down. It may be a bit strenuous to help you, but I will have no problem protecting myself. Don't worry. Wang Daoyuan did not refuse. Zhou Wan had brought a lot of good things. If they encountered any problems, they might be of great help. There were many wandering cultivators here, and there might be some hidden experts. If he let her continue to stay here, he would not be at ease. All right, I will take you with me, but you must follow me closely. If you encounter a demonic beast that is difficult to deal with, immediately enter my portable secret realm. Chapter 10:13. Zhou Wan nodded. Don't worry, I know what to do. I won't cause you any trouble at a critical moment. Lord Shadow Lord, you've consumed a lot of your spirit vessel. Do you want me to help you recover your spirit power? Zhou Wan nodded, and Wang Daoyuan immediately got to work. He had spent the past year comprehending law inscriptions, which had delayed his cultivation. He had to make the best use of his time. A month passed quickly, and Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were ready. Li Chen and Chen Yin brought 4 early-stage Yuanian cultivators to the courtyard. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan walked out and activated the formation. Brother Li Chen Daoyu, let's go together. What do you think? Li Chen smiled. Sister-in-law is also a late-stage Yuanian cultivator. Even though she's a fire-type cultivator and isn't good at fighting in the sea, she's still stronger than us. With the help of 2 late-stage Yuanian cultivators, we'll have a better chance. Chen Yin also smiled apologetically at the side. Fellow Taoist Li is right. With the help of 2 experts, our chances of success will be greater. Let's not waste any time and go together. Wang Daoyuan couldn't wait any longer, so he didn't have any objections. Li Chen took out a high-grade 4th-grade flying boat and took everyone north. They flew a few thousand kilometers north of the Fire Lotus Island and turned west. They took a big detour and came to a place more than 10,000 kilometers south of the island. The flying boat stopped above a dark sea. Li Chen said, "There's a huge canyon at the bottom of this sea. The sea is very deep. Also, there are often undercurrents in the canyon. 5th-grade demon beasts are common, and 6th-grade demon beasts can be seen sometimes. Therefore, no one dares to hunt demon beasts here. We came here last time because we paid a great price to catch that demon beast. If it escaped, we would have lost everything." This was the place where he had entered the sea the last time. There's no reference at sea, and we don't have the confidence to directly find the undercurrent. We can only enter the sea from here and follow the marks left behind last time. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Let's go down here. Li Chen and Chen Yin led the way while the rest followed closely behind. After diving more than 50,000 feet into the sea, they arrived at a canyon. The canyon ran from east to west, and both sides were flat seabed. A huge rift had been forcefully created. After entering the canyon, the pressure suddenly increased, and it also became much darker. Fortunately, there were many glowing corals and aquatic plants here, so they could see things clearly. Li Chen and Chen Yin took the lead and swam eastward. In order to prevent the demonic beasts from launching a sneak attack, Wang Daoyuan had already activated the soul-chasing compass. There were many forks in this canyon. After swimming for more than 1,000 miles to the east, a small fork appeared in front of them. Li Chen swam over and groped among the rocks at the fork. It's this fork in the road. I found the mark left behind back then. Follow me. After saying that, he swam towards the fork. After a few more forks, Wang Daoyuan's divine sense had already detected that there was abundant spiritual qi and rapidly flowing seawater more than 10 miles away. Li Chen and Chen Yin also felt it. Li Chen even sent a voice transmission to Wang Daoyuan. The undercurrent is just ahead. As long as we go against the current, we can find the source of the undercurrent. There shouldn't be any danger here. The commotion last time wasn't small, but it didn't attract other demonic beasts. Before he finished speaking, Wang Daoyuan's soul-chasing compass found a blue light spot. This demonic beast should have discovered them and swam straight towards them from the east. You were lucky last time. This time, You won't be so lucky. There's a rank 5 demonic beast coming from the east. It's more than 200 miles away from here. Chen Yin and the others were a little surprised. After all, divine sense couldn't explore too far in the deep sea. They could only explore a distance of more than 20 miles. Wang Daoyuan's divine sense was stronger than theirs, but it was impossible for him to see more than 100 miles away. Although Chen Yin didn't dare to question it openly, he still said, "This place is in the bottom of the sea. It seriously affects divine sense exploration. It's unlikely that you can discover something more than 200 miles away, right?" On the contrary, Li Chen believed in Wang Daoyuan without a doubt. He immediately took out his magic tool and was ready to attack at any time. Wang Daoyuan didn't take it seriously. Whether there are demonic beasts or not, we'll know in a while. Brotherly, don't worry. As long as you're prepared, this evil beast may not dare to come. A rank 5 demonic beast is worth at least 3,000 to 4,000 high-grade spirit stones. Pretend as if nothing happened and continue to swim forward. After more than 100 breaths, a strangely shaped snake swam over. This guy's head was like a cow's, but it had no horns. Its body was like a snake, covered in hard scales, and it had a 3-fingered claw. Upon seeing this thing, Chen Yin's expression changed. This is a Kuei dragon, and it's a rank 5 high-grade one. We're in trouble. Hearing this, Li Chen and the others prepared to flee for their lives. Wang Daoyuan had never heard of this kind of demonic beast, but now wasn't the time to ask. A rank 5 high-grade demonic beast, even if it was a purebred primordial beast, was just a piece of cake. In order to minimize the commotion, Wang Daoyuan activated his divine ability domain. Then 5 Kuei water divine thunders appeared out of thin air and attacked the Kuei dragon. In order to hide his strength, he didn't use the power of the soul formation stage. He had only deduced the Kuei water divine thunders to the rank 5 level. In addition to suppressing his power, the power he displayed was comparable to a peak Yuanian cultivator. This Kuei dragon was also quite extraordinary. A layer of water-type protective light barrier appeared on his body, and there were flashes of lightning within it. The 5 Kuei water divine thunders smashed onto the light barrier and were actually blocked. If it was an ordinary opponent, most of the power of the Kuei water divine thunders would have directly passed through the protective light barrier and smashed into him. But in front of this Kuei dragon, all of the power of the Kuei water divine thunders was blocked by the protective light barrier. Of course, the Kuei dragon didn't have it easy either. His protective light barrier became extremely dim, as if it would collapse at any time. Wang Daoyuan didn't bother to waste time. 30 Kuei water divine thunders appeared in an instant and smashed towards the Kuei dragon at the same time. This kind of method couldn't be blocked by opponents without a powerful divine ability. However, the Kuei dragon's method wasn't weak. A huge whirlpool of lightning appeared around him. The 30 Kuei water divine thunders hit it, but they couldn't break through the whirlpool. Moreover, the whirlpool was still expanding. Li Chen and the others turned pale with fright. They wanted to make a fortune, but they encountered such a strong enemy. Wang Daoyuan had an indifferent look. If he didn't want to expose his strength, no matter how powerful this whirlpool was, it would be a matter of a sword. He continuously condensed Kuei water divine thunders. Every 3 breaths, there would be 30 Kuei water divine thunders smashing into it. This Kuei dragon was really not ordinary. This whirlpool seemed to be able to transfer most of the power of the Kuei water divine thunders into the sea. The whirlpool itself didn't bear much power. The Kuei water divine thunders could only suppress the expansion of the whirlpool, but couldn't directly break it. No matter what method was used, it was impossible to not pay a price. The power transfer must be like this. If it kept on, the one who couldn't bear it would definitely be this Kuei dragon. After 30 breaths, Wang Daoyuan shot out more than 300 Kuei water divine thunders. The whirlpool finally couldn't hold on and collapsed. After the Kuei dragon blocked the last wave of Kuei water divine thunders with all his strength, he turned around and fled to the east. Before he could escape far, a few Kuei water divine thunders appeared in front of him. This Kuei dragon's spiritual power had basically been exhausted and had no ability to resist. In addition, These few Gui water divine thunders appeared almost in front of his eyes. It was too late to dodge. Only a few muffled sounds were heard. The Kuei dragon lost his life. The power of the space domain lay in this. With the help of the domain spell, this spell could appear anywhere out of thin air. If one was not prepared, they could be killed at any time. Wang Daoyuan condensed a water dragon, rolled the Kuei dragon's body over, and put it into the space of the spiritual pearl. Zhou Wan had an indifferent look on her face. She was even in the mood to admire the coral on the side. Li Chen, Chen Yin and the others were shocked. A Kuei dragon died just like that. Wang Daoyuan asked. This Kuei dragon is quite powerful. It seems to have two magical powers, thunder and water. What is its origin? Chen Yin respectfully replied. There is a legend in the Qixingxi Xiuxian community. In ancient times, this place was ruled by a strange beast called Kuei. This thing can control thunder and lightning, but it looks quite strange. Some look like cows, some look like dragons, and they only have one claw or hoof. Now the legendary Kuei can no longer be seen, but they left behind a lot of bloodlines. The Kuei dragon is the descendant of Kuei and Jiao dragon, and has both magical powers. Until now, the Kuei dragon is still one of the overlords of the Sea of Seven Stars. It's just that there are few of them, and human cultivators rarely see them. But in terms of strength, they definitely don't lose to semi-divine beasts. Especially this thunder-controlling technique. Its power in the sea is too great. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Let's continue forward. Li Chun and the others instantly gained courage and rushed to lead the way. Soon they arrived next to the undercurrent. The water in the undercurrent indeed contained extremely rich spiritual power, and it was incompatible with the surrounding seawater. Everyone followed the undercurrent upstream. The further upstream they went, the smaller the undercurrent became, and the more spiritual power it contained. This was also in line with the spiritual spring water's characteristics of absorbing ordinary water and diluting it. The spiritual spring water was much denser than ordinary water, and it wouldn't float up, only flowing at the bottom of the sea. They didn't encounter any other demonic beasts on the way, and soon they arrived at the foot of a tall sea mountain. The undercurrent flowed from a cave at the foot of the sea mountain. Wu brothers, this cave leads to a basin, and there are many demonic beasts roaming above. If we want to go in, we can only go through this cave. But there are also many demonic beasts in the basin. Last time, we detected the aura of demonic beasts, so we didn't dare to go in. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan walked in front and directly entered the cave. The cave was relatively spacious, only a few dozen kilometers long. Soon, everyone arrived at the basin. There was a basin several hundred kilometers in diameter, and it was surrounded by mountains. Many corals and spiritual plants grew in the basin, and they emitted a dim light, attracting many low-level demonic beasts. A large number of light spots appeared on Wang Daoyuan's soul-chasing compass. Most of the light spots were scarlet and orange, which meant they were first and second-ranked demonic beasts. But there were also 3 cyan light spots, and they were quite bright. They should be relatively strong 5th-ranked demonic beasts. The cave was located at the lowest point in the basin, so the spiritual spring water flowed out from there. Everyone tried their best to conceal their aura and followed the undercurrent. Soon, they arrived at a rock wall, and the undercurrent flowed out from a crack in the wall. The real spiritual water should be inside. If they wanted to get it, it would take some effort. Just as Wang Daoyuan was about to make a move, a powerful pressure fell from above the basin. Who are you to dare to kill my grandson? You don't put my Kuei dragon clan in your eyes. Chapter 10:14. The Kuei dragon was a lightning-type demon beast. Since the Kuei dragon had inherited the Kuei dragon's lightning-type divine ability, its roar also contained a soul-stirring power. The demon beasts in the basin began to flee in all directions. Li Chun and the others were also stunned. The soul-chasing compass in Wang Daoyuan's Sea of Consciousness still hadn't shown any blue light, which meant that the Kuei dragon was still 300 miles away. This beast is still a few hundred miles away from here. Do you want to run away or stay here and watch? Let me say this first. I'm not confident that I can protect you when I fight the rank 6 Kuei dragon. The others were still in a daze. They were a little surprised to hear Wang Daoyuan say this. Li Chen asked, Wu brothers, are you saying that you want to fight the Kuei dragon? I know you're strong, but that Kuei dragon is no ordinary demon beast. It has the bloodline of the Kuei dragon and the semi-divine flood dragon. Not only are the two bloodlines not in conflict, but they also complement each other. The Kuei dragon is much stronger than the semi-divine flood dragon. They had never seen the strength of a rank 6 demon beast. With their speed, there was no way they could escape from the rank 6 Kuei dragon. Wang Daoyuan was a little impatient. If you don't want to leave, then stay here and watch. I'm confident that I can protect myself and my Dao partner. But I'm not sure I can protect you. If you want to live or die, do as you please. Li Chun and the others didn't dare to dawdle. They all used their escape techniques and fled back the way they came. While speaking, he didn't stay idle. After saying this, he ignored them. He spread out his divine ability domain and soon discovered that there was an extremely strong fluctuation of spiritual power, 400 miles to the east. The Kuei dragon was no fool. He immediately sensed that something was wrong as soon as he fell into the divine ability domain. He roared angrily, and a huge water ball wrapped in lightning flew towards the basin. The lightning traveled through the water, making rumbling sounds. Ever since he reached the soul formation stage, his divine ability domain had changed a lot. At this moment, he unleashed the power of his divine ability to the extreme. All the spiritual energy within 1,000 miles converged towards the east. Wang Daoyuan was in control of all the spiritual energy within the divine ability domain, including the spells cast by the enemy. At the same time, the water ball that Kuei dragon spat out was constantly drawing out spiritual energy. When Kuei dragon's spell was still dozens of miles away from Wang Daoyuan, its spiritual power was exhausted. Another roar came from afar. You killed my grandson? Which clan are you from? Why did you bully the weak and kill a descendant of my Kuei dragon clan? Wang Daoyuan did not reply. He only said to Zhou Luan, Lord Shadow Master, this old loach is not weak. If we fight later, I'm afraid I can't protect you. Hide in my mystic realm first. I've planted many precious spirit plants in there. Don't touch them. If you're bored, you can find some books to read and bully Yin Yi. After saying that, he put Zhou Luan into the space of the spiritual pearl. Now, he was the only one who needed to face the 6th rank Kuei dragon. He could fight without restraint. The Gui Water Divine Thunder, Water Dragon Technique, and other techniques had only been deduced to the 5th rank. They were not powerful enough to deal with the 6th rank Kuei dragon. After reaching the soul formation stage, he had never fought with an opponent of the same level. This Kuei dragon was strong enough, and this place was well hidden. It was a good opportunity to practice. He took out the sword of origin restoration and waited for the Kuei dragon in the basin. After a dozen seconds, the Kuei dragon arrived at the small basin. This guy looked similar to the Kuei Jiao from before, except that he had an extra horn that wasn't too long on his head. Judging from the spiritual energy fluctuations, he should be about to reach the middle stage of the soul formation stage. Wang Daoyuan didn't hide his strength anymore. He exuded the aura of a soul formation stage cultivator. The Kuei dragon glanced at him and snorted. You're a human soul formation stage cultivator. You killed a direct descendant of the Kuei dragon clan in the sea. Are you looking down on the demon clan? The demon clan often harasses the islands where humans live. Are you looking down on the human race? Don't talk nonsense. I killed your grandson. I came to the sea to look for treasures, but he came to sneak up on me. If a nascent soul realm human cultivator were to launch a sneak attack on you, would you spare his life? I stayed here because I want to fight with you. Make your move. The Kuei dragon shouted angrily, arrogant. After saying that, a blue lightning bolt struck over. Lightning techniques couldn't be taken directly. Wang Daoyuan turned into a silver light and dodged the attack. He also slashed out a sword aura that went straight for the Kuei dragon's head. The Kuei Jiao's ability to control lightning was extremely strong. The lightning that he had shot out earlier turned around and blocked the sword light. Wang Daoyuan was only doing it casually. This sword aura only cut the lightning bolt and didn't hurt the Kuei dragon. The sword of essence restoring in his hand split into 10 sword shadows that circled around him. This Kuei dragon was not weak. He was very suitable for practice. After reaching the soul formation stage, he spent most of his energy on cultivating with Zhou. He didn't have time to deduce many spells. Now that he was fighting a strong enemy, it was not suitable to use those spells that he wasn't very familiar with. Only the sword Shadow Divine Light technique and the demon slaying sword could be used. A sword shadow flew out and pointed at the Kuei dragon's forehead. The Kuei dragon opened his mouth and spat out a thunderball. It blocked the sword shadow, and the two were annihilated. Wang Daoyuan thought to himself, this guy is really not weak. My sword shadow has about 70% of the power of the sword of essence restoring. It was neutralized so easily. I have also fought with human cultivators. There are many sword cultivators among them. You should also be a sword cultivator. The power in your attack should be the sword intent of you humans. Your sword intent is very strange. Others only have one kind of sword intent, but you have many. This Kuei dragon was very knowledgeable. He recognized the difference in the sword of essence restoring. It doesn't matter what the sword intent is. What matters is that I can kill you. Kid, you are arrogant. I have lived for more than 10,000 years, and have never seen a human cultivator who can kill me. I'll let you little human kid know the true power of our Kuei Jiao clan. After saying that, he raised his head and let out a dragon roar. A whirlpool appeared around his body. This method was similar to the Kuei dragon that he killed before, but it was much more powerful. Under the stirring of the whirlpool, the corals in the basin kept making kacha sounds. The broken corals were constantly being sucked into the whirlpool. Even the surrounding cliffs were constantly being sucked in. Wang Daoyuan was the least afraid of this kind of spell that borrowed external force and slowly accumulated power. He used the magical domain to absorb all the spiritual power in the nearby seawater. The spiritual power within 1,000 miles was under his control. If the Kuei dragon wanted to expand the whirlpool, he could only consume his own spiritual power. To control a large amount of seawater and exert an extremely strong power, no matter how much spiritual power he had, it would not be enough. He could only withdraw the whirlpool. The magical domain is indeed powerful. With just this method of controlling spiritual power, spells that rely on external spiritual power are useless in front of you. I can't believe that my Kuei dragon clan lost to a human in the aspect of controlling water. After saying that, his body expanded dozens of times, turning into a giant flood dragon that was thousands of feet long. The claws under his body were even more exaggerated. They were instantly enlarged 100 times. Lightning flashed in the dragon claws, condensing into a blue thunder bead. There were also streaks of lightning on the dragon body converging to the dragon claws, and the thunder bead continued to grow. Thunder attribute spells were not easy to deal with in the sea. Even if the frontal attack was avoided, the thunder attribute attack would spread in the surrounding seawater, and the residual power could hurt people. As long as one was hurt by the thunder attribute attack, paralysis was inevitable. At that time, the Kuei dragon's next move would be difficult to deal with. Wang Daoyuan did not intend to fight head-on, and summoned the Xianxian cauldron. He asked, "Can you withstand this guy's attack?" "Master, don't worry. The Xianxian cauldron was once a 7th-level magic weapon. Below the Mahayana realm, it can't pose too much of a threat to me." Wang Daoyuan was relieved. It was said that the strength of the Kuei dragon was on one foot. As long as the Xianxian cauldron could withstand this attack, the Kuei dragon would be at his wit's end. To be safe, Wang Daoyuan was still using the power of the domain to constantly weaken the thunderball in the dragon claws. The Kuei dragon saw that the spiritual power in the thunderball was constantly draining, and did not dare to delay any longer. He threw out the thunderball that was more than 3 feet in diameter. The thunder suddenly lit up the entire basin, and the seawater around the thunderball was ignited by the huge energy contained in it. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan did not dodge at all, the Kuei dragon looked proud. But the next scene stunned him. He saw that the ancient cauldron released a suction force, and directly swallowed the thunder ball. Then there was a muffled sound from the cauldron, and the Kuei dragon could no longer sense the thunder ball. This was his full-strength attack, and it was broken just like that. He did not dare to fight with Wang Daoyuan again. His body instantly shrank, turned into a blue light, and escaped hundreds of miles away. Wang Daoyuan did not panic. The laws that he had comprehended in the soul formation mental demon tribulation were not only the 5 elements laws. With a thought, the range of the divine power domain quickly shrank. After a few breaths, the Kuei dragon's head hit the edge of the divine power domain. His escape technique was already an arrow at the end of its flight, under Wang Daoyuan's interference. This collision actually did not break out, but instead bounced back. The domain divine power combined with the spatial laws formed a space similar to a secret realm. The opponent in the domain was fighting against the power of the entire domain. Without overwhelming strength, there was no possibility of winning. It was just that this space was still very simple. Whether it was strength or function, it was far inferior to a real secret realm. But it was no problem to use it to bind the opponent. Spatial laws? Once you enter my domain, you will either defeat me or die here. The Kuei dragon's dragon claw under him grew bigger again and slapped toward the edge of the domain. Wang Daoyuan expanded the range of the domain again and moved the boundary dozens of miles away. The Kuei dragon's claw completely missed. 10 sword shadows attacked, but the Kuei dragon waved his dragon claw and shattered all the sword shadows. The Kuei dragon's strength was indeed beyond Wang Daoyuan's expectations. With the power of his thunder ball, if not for the Xianxian cauldron, he would have to use the Yinglong demon slayer sword to take it head-on. Even if he could kill the Kuei dragon, he would have to pay a heavy price. Without the spatial laws, it would be difficult to keep him even if he defeated him. You have no hope of escaping. If you serve me as your master, I can let you live. Maybe I can even help you cultivate to the 7th level in the future. The Kuei dragon had the bloodline of an ancient beast and a divine beast, so it was natural for him to be arrogant. Bah, you human brat, are you worthy of my Kuei dragon clan's submission? Since I can't beat you and can't escape, I will trade my life for yours. After that, the spiritual power in his body began to disappear. He wanted to gather all his spiritual power into the pseudo-dragon ball and then detonate it. This was the deep sea, and the destructive power of self-destruction was much stronger than on land. He could escape by hiding in the space of the spirit pearl, but the Kuei dragon's body and the pseudo-dragon ball would be destroyed. Chapter 10:15. The rank 6 Kuei dragon's bones and scales were excellent rank 6 refining materials. The scales could be used to refine defensive artifacts. The bones had many uses. Even a rib could be refined into a long sword. The horn and pseudo-dragon ball were even more valuable. They were rare treasures. Wang Daoyuan had very few rank 6 refining materials. He only had a piece of dazzling sun gold. Such a huge Kuei jiao, it would be a waste to let it self-destruct. With a thought, the Xianxian cauldron immediately flew over and released a suppressive force to suppress the flow of spiritual power in the Kuei dragon's body. Although the Xianxian cauldron was powerful, it was only rank 6 mid-grade. The Kuei dragon's cultivation was at rank 6 low-grade, but he was already prepared to die. The Xianxian cauldron's own power was not enough to subdue him. To quickly finish off the Kuei dragon, he could only rely on Yinglong's demon-slaying sword. He summoned his 5 natal artifacts and fused them into Yinglong's demon-slaying sword. The 5 artifact spirits fused into Yinglong and fused into the sword. With the artifact spirits, there was no need for Yinglong's avatar to personally take action. The artifact spirits grew in Yinglong's avatar and could directly mobilize its power. After injecting a large amount of spiritual power, Yinglong's demon-slaying sword went straight for the Kuei dragon's head. Wang Daoyuan also controlled the seawater to make room for Yinglong's demon-slaying sword to prevent the seawater from consuming the spiritual power in the sword. If he had a deeper understanding of the spatial laws, he could make the sword jump through space. After flying out of his hand, he could directly appear on top of the Kuei dragon's head. At this time, the Kuei dragon's spiritual power had already gathered in the pseudo-dragon ball. With the suppression of the Xianxian cauldron above, it was very difficult to mobilize spiritual power to block this sword. However, all the spiritual power in his body was mobilized when he self-destructed. It was still very difficult for ordinary methods to break through his defense. Kuei Dragon had no choice but to dodge the attack. He hoped that his scales were tough enough to withstand the fatal blow. Under Wang Daoyuan's control, Yinglong's Demon's Lair sword landed on Kuei Dragon's neck. Unfortunately, this Kuei Dragon's neck was not as hard as Wang Daoyuan's sword. A bright yellow light flashed by, and a huge head rolled down. Without the control of his head, the Kuei Dragon lost control of his spiritual energy and could no longer self-destruct. Wang Daoyuan put Kuei Dragon's body into the space of the spiritual pearl and handed it over to his doppelganger to deal with. At the same time, he also brought Zhou out. As soon as Zhou came out, she asked, "It took you so long to solve it. Are you hurt?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "How long did it take? When I dealt with you, it was much more difficult." Zhou pretended to hit him, but Wang Daoyuan hurriedly changed the topic. "If there's something, let's talk about it when we get back. Don't forget what we came here for. Now that there are no more monsters here, let's go over there and see what the spiritual water is." The two of them came to the rock wall where the spiritual water was seeping out. After the destruction of the battle, this place was already full of cracks. Wang Daoyuan's right hand turned into a dragon claw and hammered a few times on the rock wall. Large and small stones began to fall off. After half a cup of tea's time, a stone room about 6 meters in diameter appeared in front of them. On the ground of the stone room was a spring, which was still emitting special spiritual water. The spiritual water should be inside the spring. Wang Daoyuan used the water dragon technique, and a black dragon drilled into the spring. Soon, it flew out with a fist-sized ball of water in its mouth. This ball of water was constantly absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy and releasing extremely rich spiritual water. Wang Daoyuan drained the surrounding spiritual energy, and no more spiritual water gushed out from the ball of water. At this time, he could see the ball of water clearly. This thing was transparent, without a trace of impurity. It contained pure water spiritual energy, and should be a 6th-level low-grade spiritual water. As for the name of this spiritual water, Wang Daoyuan really didn't know. "Shadow Lord, do you know the name of this spiritual water? Inject water spiritual energy into this spiritual water, and I'll see what's going on." Wang Daoyuan did as he was told, and a large amount of spiritual water gushed out from the ball of water. The more water spiritual energy was injected, the more spiritual water gushed out. Moreover, there seemed to be no upper limit to the amount of spiritual water gushing out. Wang Daoyuan was a little surprised. "This spiritual water is not ordinary." Zhou nodded. "I checked some ancient books about spiritual water in your portable secret realm. The Valley of Beasts is worthy of being called a powerful force, and there are many records about all kinds of rare treasures. This spiritual water should be immeasurable true water, and only the sea can nurture such spiritual water. It is an extremely pure spiritual water, and doesn't have any special functions. The only extraordinary thing is the amount of water. As long as there is enough water spiritual energy, immeasurable true water can condense an unlimited amount of spiritual water. This spiritual water is extremely pure, and has a certain purifying effect on polluted air. When refining pills, this spiritual water can be used to extract the essence of spiritual herbs, and it can reduce the residue of pill toxins." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "This function is not bad. At least it has some help for refining pills." Then he put the ball of water into the space of the spiritual pearl, and placed it on the north shore of the small lake, which was also the northernmost part of the spiritual pearl. Ever since he gathered the 5 elements spiritual fire, 5 spiritual veins were born in the spiritual pearl. Among them, a water spiritual vein was born where the Gui water hell flame was. With the passage of time, a spiritual spring appeared in the northernmost part of the water spiritual vein. This spring was also affected by the Gui water hell flame, and it contained an extremely rich yin qi, similar to the birthplace of the Gui water hell flame. The Gui water hell spring. Wang Daoyuan had always called this spiritual spring the Gui water hell spring. As the 5 spiritual veins gradually grew, The amount of water in the Gui water hell spring also became larger and larger. Wang Daoyuan dug many small ditches north of the spiritual spring. Near the ditches, he planted 7-leaf ghost face flower, yellow spring willow, and other spiritual plants that like yin qi. The spring water still couldn't be used up. So Wang Daoyuan dug a large pond at the northernmost part of the spiritual pearl to store the spring water. This large pond was also planted with black jade lotus and other spiritual plants that liked yin qi. Yun Yi and Wang Minglong also liked to cultivate in this large pond. As the amount of water increased, the pond became larger and larger. Now the pond had become a small lake that covered an area of nearly 100 acres. Wang Daoyuan named it North Underworld Lake. The level of spiritual power in the lake was not low. The Gui water hell spring had now reached the 6th rank. As the spiritual power in the spring water gradually dissipated, it could still maintain the level of the 5th rank. The immeasurable true water could absorb enough spiritual power in the lake to produce more spiritual spring water. This time we have a lot of harvest. The immeasurable true water and the corpse of the 6th rank Kuei dragon. It shouldn't be a problem to exchange for an island with a radius of 1,000 miles. Staying at the bottom of the sea is not a solution. Let's go back first. Zhou Wan nodded, and the two swam towards the surface. The battle between the 6th rank monster and the spirit-severing cultivator had scared the other monsters away. None of them dared to block the way. After coming to the surface of the sea, they took the flying boat to the Fire Lotus Island. This place was less than 20,000 miles away from the Fire Lotus Island. Even if they didn't know the way, they could clearly see the huge Fire Lotus Island from the sky. Not long after returning to his small courtyard, Li Chen came to visit. Wang Daoyuan welcomed him into the courtyard and activated the formation in the courtyard. Li Chen hurriedly asked, "Wu brothers, how did you escape? The Kuei dragon clan is much stronger than the flood dragons of the same rank. Even a spirit-severing cultivator would have a hard time defeating them. How did you escape unscathed?" Wang Daoyuan pretended to be still in a state of shock. "This Kuei Jiao is indeed extraordinary. I tried my best, but was only able to block a few of his spells. If the battle had continued, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to survive. Fortunately, during these years of traveling outside, he had obtained some small gadgets. This time, I used 2 10,000-mile instant talismans to escape with my Dao partner." Li Chen was shocked. 10,000-mile instant talisman? Is that the kind of escape talisman that only spirit-severing cultivators can refine? Legend has it that it can use the law of space to escape thousands of miles in an instant. Unless the opponent has mastered the law of space, no one below the Mahayana stage can stop it. This thing only exists in legends. Even the 7 Stars Alliance and the Blood Shark don't have it. Where did you get it? After asking this, he hurriedly smiled and said, "Wu brothers, I'm really sorry. I was so shocked that I lost my composure. I shouldn't have pried into your privacy." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "It's actually not that big of a deal. When I was traveling in the southern part of the myriad demon islands, I came across an ancient cultivator's cave abode. Unfortunately, many of the treasures left behind by that senior can no longer be used. Only the 2 10,000-mile instant talismans are still in good condition. If it weren't for these treasures, I wouldn't have dared to try. Unfortunately, I underestimated the Kuei dragon's strength and wasted these treasures." Li Chen also sighed. "It is indeed a pity, but it's fine as long as he's alive. Wu brothers are proficient in pill refinement and tool refinement, so he earns spirit stones much faster than us. He's also very talented and has a bright future ahead of him. It won't be a problem for him to break through to the deity transformation stage in the future. Losing 2 10,000-mile instant talismans isn't that big of a deal. You and your wife were dragged into this mess by us. In the end, you didn't gain anything, and even lost 2 10,000-mile instant talismans. I really feel bad about it. Brotherly, you're too polite. It's not like I didn't gain anything. Didn't I kill a 5th-grade high-grade Kuei dragon before? Even if I can't completely make up for my losses, I didn't make this trip in vain. Since you're both safe and sound, I won't disturb you any further. Goodbye." Wang Daoyuan sent him to the door. After returning to the courtyard, Zhou asked, "What's up with that portable secret realm of yours? Why do I feel like there's something wrong with the flow of time?" Wang Daoyuan didn't plan on hiding it from her. The flow of time in this secret realm is more than 100 times that of the outside world. Of course you'd feel that something is wrong. This time, Zhou was stunned. There's such a powerful secret realm in this world? No wonder you seem to have endless resources. With this secret realm, the value of planting high-grade spiritual plants is really too great. The nascent soul fruit takes 5,000 years to ripen. With this space, you can harvest a batch in less than 50 years. Even if it's a 10,000-year-old spiritual plant, you can cultivate it in less than 100 years. Using his hand to lift Zhou chin, he said, "Of course. Now you know how powerful your husband is, right? Follow me and I'll make sure you eat and drink well." Zhou grabbed his hand and twisted it. Unfortunately, it didn't budge. "You didn't tell me you had such a good thing. If I'd known, I would have cultivated in the secret realm. If you put me inside, it would have been faster to cultivate the embryonic form of the tool spirit." Wang Daoyuan didn't refuse, and put her into the space of the spirit pearl. From the space of the spirit pearl, he took out 2 demonic cultivator clones to stand guard outside. His own primordial spirit also entered the space of the spirit pearl. After fighting with the Kuei dragon, he discovered that he still had a lot of shortcomings. He also needed to find time to deduce a few spells, so that the next time he met a strong enemy, his methods would be too simple. As soon as he entered the space of the spirit pearl, he discovered that something was wrong. A large amount of yin qi rose from the north of the Xianming Lake. His primordial spirit flew over to investigate, and found that the lake water in the north was extremely pure, without a trace of yin qi. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.